On your marks, get set, and go for day 2 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Fastlane event. We've got the Formula One for the fast and furious in fixed ops. Here to call the shotgun is our host, Vanessa Collins.
Start your engines. I'm Vanessa Collins from Lithia and Driveway and Northwood University, here to welcome you to day 2 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Fastlane event. Who will be the speed racer to win gold? You have to stay tuned to find out. So buckle up and get ready to ride as we enter the fast lane with the Fixed Ops Roundtable. You don't need Hot Wheels to join this raceway. Shift gears to use the chat feature on the right-hand side of your screen. Just be sure to select everyone and not just hosts and panelists. From hitting the books to hitting the racetrack, these Northwood students are bringing kinetic energy to the roundtable in our first panel of the day.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We are here at Northwood University for the 62nd Annual International Auto Show. I'm Angie Piscato. We are joined today by a great panel. Vanessa, how are you today?
I am very good, especially being here back on campus with 5 amazing Northwood students. If I could start with Emma, introduce yourself, what's your major, and what year are you?
Hi, everybody. Yes, I am Emma Ladd, and I am a junior studying marketing with a minor in digital marketing. I'm Julia Leeds with a major in automotive marketing and management and a minor in finance, and I'm in my C year.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Isabella Stevens. I'm a 3rd year in the MBA BBA program here at Northwood, and I'm studying marketing.
My name is Ayden McWayne. I'm also in the BBA MBA program, but I'm in my 4th year. I graduated with a finance degree.
I'm Owen Bierlein. It is my 2nd year here at Northwood, and I'm studying business management and minoring in finance.
Awesome. And each and every one of you is involved with the auto show to some degree. So starting back at Owen, what are you doing this year for the auto show?
All right, so I have a smaller role. I'm currently doing a private exotics booth. It's a European booth. We have 2 cars. We have a McLaren and a Porsche. And it's been fun trying to keep those.
Yeah, don't undersell yourself. You have some incredible cars at your booth. You're going to get a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And you, Ayden?
It's my 3rd year in the auto show. 2nd year as a captain for Jeep. Last year we won best in division, so hopefully we can do it again this year.
Awesome. Super excited. Congratulations. This is my 3rd year being involved in the auto show. This is my 1st year as captain of Team Alfa Romeo, so I'm really excited. Bye. This is my 4th year involved in the auto show, and I'm on the e-board this year, serving as the PR chair. And yeah.
This is only my 2nd year involved in the auto show, and I am currently serving as the marketing chair on the executives board. That's so exciting. And Julie and Emma, you are on the marketing team. That's the team that I was on when I was back in my day, when I was at Northwood, involved with the auto show. So how has it been? 12 months of planning, doing the marketing. You were in my exact role. Like, how is it going? It's going great. We have a great team, full of very supportive people. So my job has been easy, stressful sometimes, but so rewarding this weekend. Yes, just lots of planning and content for the past 12 months. It's been really fun. For sure. And the socials, I will say, look amazing. You're doing a great job at NU Auto Show if you want to check out her work. And Julia?
Yeah, no, PR has been fun. Like Emily was saying, like we have a great team, which I think goes a long way and really helps. Like the team in general too, like the overall board itself. But marketing has been fun. Reaching out, I've been doing a lot of press releases, things like that. Like I know news channels, interviews on radio stations, things like that. So it's been exciting. I've enjoyed it so far.
For sure. And you were the classic car chair last year. I love. So how has some of your skills that you learned with that experience kind of transferred to your PR role this year?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's definitely helped a lot because, running a classic car show like completely on your own, you have to reach out to so many different people and get involved in different groups and things like that. So it's really, get that attendance. And so being involved in those things has helped and kind of transferred over to where I can reach out to those same groups, get, the eyes on the show this year, kind of spread the word. So I think it's definitely helped a lot in other aspects as well.
That's awesome. And my captains, how has planning for the show been?
It's been really exciting. Yeah. Just trying to get ideas from the things around me. Obviously, I had the opportunity to go abroad with Northwood University this summer to Italy. So I got to see a lot of variations of alphas and that drew a lot of inspiration for my booth this year. So
yeah, last night at Thursday Night Preview, you had cannolis handmade by your mother, espresso shots, Italian music playing in the background. It was beautiful. So yeah, your booth looks awesome, and a lot goes into the booths. I remember when I was a captain at Team Genesis, there's fundraising, designing, cultivating a team. So for Ayden, Owen, how has that been for you?
It's been a lot. It's a lot of the stuff at Northwood they've taught you about people skills has really transferred over for sure. Yeah. I mean, not only getting a team together and finding enough people that actually want to be a part of it, but also leading those people and getting them to want to be a part of it and then do as good as they can. I mean, it's transferred amazing.
Yeah.
BT.
So me and Ayden actually met last year.
Okay.
And you were captain team GPU, right? Yep. So that was my freshman year. I was nervous. I didn't know anything really about the auto show. So that was really good. He kind of built me up as a person, and it helped work on my communication skills. Because, I mean, we had probably 12, 11 cars, and if a lot of people going to the Jeep booths because it was one of the biggest booths. And so it made this year so much easier for sure. Because you dealt with so many things that you wouldn't deal with unless you're in the auto show,
Yeah, we're able to see the final product, which looks amazing, by the way, when wandering around the auto show, and everything just looks so calculated, so professional. What has been the biggest challenge? I'm sure that a lot goes on behind the scenes that we don't see. What's been the biggest challenge in preparation for an event like this?
I would definitely say networking with enough people that want to actually be part of the team. That would definitely be my biggest tip.
Yeah, I would say a lot of it's just coordination. Like, I'm on a smaller team, obviously. It's me and my one friend, Connor, but we still have to be on the same page.
Right.
Like, I got keys to cars, so I need to be there if anything's happening, in which, like, last night, I had to drive all the way back out here because I had the keys to the cars, and it's crap. So, just things like that, thinking ahead, just trying to be a little more proactive.
yeah. How about you guys? I think one of the biggest things that you really have to focus on is working with those changes and those challenges that occur. I mean, we were just talking about it before this panel, but yesterday we had a gas leak at Northwood University where we couldn't start up any of the cars for 2 hours. And last night we had it pouring, an hour before the show started. So it was moving stuff around, working on the fly. And
There's always hiccups like that. It seems like every single year, but we always learn to persevere and work through them.
And as a spectator, I didn't even know that was going on. It's your job very well and very, very professionally because, like I said, I was on campus. I had no idea that was even occurring. So visited with a smile, and you did it very well. So it looked like it was meant to be.
I was running to the library to change into my suit. Like 10 minutes before VIP night started. So that was fun.
And from the executive board side, a lot of your work takes place the 12 months before the show. And I know lots of struggles during that time, stress. It's like a full-time internship, really. You're gaining so much experience in that process. But what has been kind of, I guess, the biggest obstacle that you guys have pushed through, whether it's leading up to the show or even show weekend right now?
I mean, I would say like an obstacle. I think it's a good obstacle.
Yeah.
Because like the theme this year is elevating. And so, we were really trying to elevate the show. So it was, came down to coming up with those ideas. What can we really do to elevate the show and make it different than years before? And so I think like that was an obstacle we all faced, to come together to come up with new ideas. But it's a good obstacle because it led to so many amazing opportunities and an elevated show.
It's 100%.
You handled them well.
Yeah, I definitely think that being on the board, there's obviously many challenges that you come across just with 12 months of planning. I probably would say the biggest one is, like Owen said, coordination. You have 21 of us on the board doing different things at all times of the day for 12 months, like just straight. And I think especially getting content, putting out information on social media, and like I am like the main person of contact, but it was definitely hard to like coordinate with everybody, but communication is definitely key, and I think we kind of got that down after about a year. So
This is all while maintaining your academic schedule too, which is something that really needs to be said because this could be a full-time job on its own. But you're doing this while maintaining your schooling, your classes, everything that goes into the rigorous curriculum that is Northwood University. So it teaches so much, but I'm very impressed.
that's incredible. And Julia, you said that the theme is elevate, and Angie and I, we're both seeing it this year. There's a new division. There's so many different innovations that have happened this year that have been different from previous years. And it is so incredible. And I would like to say again, this show is 100% student run. From the booths, you start with a captain, they acquire a co-captain, cultivate their team, fundraise, design the booth, to the executive board that actually runs the show. We have our general chair, Patrina Ness, and then all the department heads from marketing, logistics, finance. It's insane the amount of effort that goes into this, and also the ability that we have as students to take what we learn in the classroom, whether we're finance, marketing, and apply it to a real world situation and a real world business. It's incredible. And I think Northwood really sets us up for success in that way with the events we have on campus, but also with putting us in front of the right people and getting us to get internships, jobs. And I know each and every one of you have had experience with getting internships. So would any of you like to speak to your personal experience with that?
Yeah, no, I can speak to it. I mean, like you said, like Northwood does an amazing job getting us in front of those, business professionals, and we get to network with everyone, which is a huge opportunity that you don't really get at other schools. And so I think it's awesome. But in terms of internships, I've had an opportunity every year, even as a freshman. And I think that says a lot because, it can be hard as a freshman trying to get an internship. But here at Northwood, it's just so, I don't want to say easy, but like there's just so much opportunity. It's just so, there's a lot of opportunities and different aspects too. Like, there's dealerships, there's corporate, you really can go anywhere. And so they really definitely set us up for success.
100%. And we can see it with you Rockstar students. We can see it throughout the show with really all Northwood students. They really grow, I feel like, a different breed here. And so thank you so much for taking time out of your busy show weekends to spend time with us here on our panel and to talk about your experience at Northwood and with the show. We are here at Northwood University. We are here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Vanessa, Angie, and we will be right back.
Every step I take feels like destiny. Game on the lock, good in my legacy. The grind ain't free and it can't be bought. Grind ain't free and it can't be bought. Mind of a champion, I'm bringing every thought.
Stay up to date on your race roster with Pete Petrovski from INFOMEDIA.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. INFOMEDIA is with us now, not just anybody. Pete Petrovski is with us. He is the Chief Strategy Officer at INFOMEDIA, overseeing a number of brands and making big headwaves in the automotive industry. Pete, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hello, Ted. Good to be with you.
Great to have you here in person, if I may. And we've seen a lot on INFOMEDIA, and especially in the last year. And Pete, you're squarely in this industry with retail, with service, parts, e-commerce, and I love the strides that you're making with AI for our dealer body. So congratulations to you on all the success you're having.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you. It's a lot of strong activity. The market in terms of after-sales solutions and what the dealers need, the complexity, the macro environment, it's all very much a complex area to be in at the moment. The automakers are doing it tough with their vehicle sales, and the parts and service side is really now a focus for the dealerships. It's always has been a focus, but right now in particular, every little productivity, efficiency, and customer experience wins they can get are critical to making their businesses more profitable and retaining customers for the long term.
I want to talk to you about a solution called Repair Assistant that you're offering. But before I do, I want to kind of set the stage, Pete. A few weeks back, I read a big story that the average price of a new vehicle in the United States for the first time is over $50,000. Hard to believe, okay? Yet it all kind of factors in when you look at the aging vehicles out there, the average age of a vehicle, 12 going into 13 or more years. And it all kind of plays into the strengths of fixed operations and service and parts, would you say?
It does, Ted. The car park, we've seen the car park globally grow by at least 60% since 2015. Globally, there are 1.5 billion vehicles on the road. The age of those vehicles, as you say, is getting onwards of 12 to 13 years, which is incredible. And there are a couple of opportunities here for dealerships and OEMs. One is that those vehicles need more repairs, right? So we know that. But two, in terms of customer retention, the longer we retain those vehicles within the dealership network, those medium type and heavy type repairs then come into the picture, which means the price of those parts, the amount of parts we're selling, the amount of labor we're selling becomes a greater opportunity. And I think at the moment, a lot of those dealers in the market who haven't focused on after sales, who've been relying on those cushy margins in the showroom, now really pivoting to take parts and service more seriously. So we're seeing a lot more focus on after sales. So that's one trend. And then, as I said, these aging vehicles ultimately will need more expensive repairs. So that becomes an opportunity. And that's when really that technician theme of upskilling our techs becomes even more profound.
And I like what you're doing with AI. And you mentioned in the green room before we got started, AI is making such advancements so quickly. It seems every week there's a startling new development, and it's so far ahead of where it just was, and that continues. But that really will also play into the aging technician workforce, the lack of new technicians coming into the industry. And I see a lot of the things that you're doing at INFOMEDIA are really going to help strengthen the dealer body.
Yeah, absolutely. On the technician front, Ted, we're seeing a consistent theme. That theme is that those experienced folks are exiting the industry, and the young folks coming into the industry are taking longer to get their head around the requirements of that type of role. The variety of technology in the vehicles today is far greater than what it was back in the day. So, on a given day, tech could be servicing a hybrid vehicle. In the afternoon, they've got all the ICE engines, and guess what? There's a couple of EV vehicles that need to be looked at as well. So the complexity of what a technician today is looking at is far more intricate. And then the diagnosis takes a little bit more time, and they're going from a website portal to a repair manual to then another tech knowledge base that the OEM has set up, and the dealership have got their own, obviously, knowledge sources and experienced folks that contribute to that. And I guess what I'm saying is the information is fragmented, and those specialist databases around hybrid vehicles, EV, how do I get to that X sensor that is going to be critical to fixing this medium heavy repair? That's not easy on the shop floor when you've got 20, 30 repair orders going. You've got parts that are in back order. You've got customers waiting for their vehicles. You've got time pressures. So we believe AI is really critical in helping solve some of these efficiency and productivity issues at the dealerships for techs and service advisors.
Not to mention, you mentioned those repair orders. Those average repair orders, Peter, have really jumped in value, okay? And the focus on the dollar amount higher than ever, with higher warranty rates, higher customer pay, and so on and so forth. I don't know if you want to speak to that as well.
Yeah, it's certainly a trend, and that goes to what we spoke about before regarding the aging car park. As the aging car park sort of starts to take shape, the repairs, the type of repairs and the repair orders are definitely growing. So we've had, obviously, CPI increases over the last few years, and the industry has really felt that. The price of parts has gone up and price of labor has gone up. But at a core level, those invoice values are bigger because the type of repairs we're doing, the type of services, the complexity of those parts, and those parts are more expensive because if you look at a hybrid vehicle, particularly even the ICE engines of today, much more electric, much more complexity, and those invoices, obviously those repair orders are starting to increase. So we feel that AI has a role to play along the value chain. We think the technicians, enabling them with tools that enable them to get to the diagnosis faster, communicate with the service manager and service advisor faster, or the parts department, and then get to the customer story faster. Often the customer, is waiting in the lounge, or they've taken a loan car for today. The idea is to get that customer story as soon as possible, that recommendation with the work, to get a favorable answer in terms of recommendation to repair the work, but also then meet the customer experience. A lot of that quarter time rule, particularly in North American markets, where I drop my vehicle off and within 15 minutes I get the diagnosis of what is wrong with my vehicle. That's what our solutions allow the dealers to do, which is get to that customer with a recommendation, with a fully priced quote, and pictures and videos and evidence of that repair, within 15 to 20 minutes.
Pete, and the customer expects all this, like you just said, with the pictures and the videos, and they expect it's going to be timely. I want to talk a little bit about one of the solutions you and I have discussed. It's called Repair Assistant, which seems to address a number of these things, including technicians, their onboarding, their training, and improvements in diagnostics and first-time fix rates. If you want to share a little bit about Repair Assistant with us.
Yeah. So the Repair Assistant is a solution. It's an AI solution. It leverages INFOMEDIA's data expertise, which really takes in all the structured and unstructured data from an OEM, like repair manuals, electrical wiring diagrams, owner manuals, vehicle specifications, warranty information. And what we do, we enable an AI layer to surface up insights with a question and answer format. So a technician, rather than going through 20 pages of the wheel bearing section of the repair manual, can ask a question about the wheel bearing. They can get into an electrical wiring diagram and say, can you tell me the color of the headlamp earth wire? Is it blue or is it green? Where is the fuse located? Where is the oxygen sensor located? So this question and answer type of format really utilizes the data we have. INFOMEDIA has a large amount of data. We've got over 1 billion VINs in our database, and then surfaces up the answers without the technician needing to go to 3-4 different sources to find the repair procedure, the labor time, and then the ability to write up that technician's story using AI instead of going on the iPad or the PC, taking time to actually do that manually. So it's fascinating. What we're seeing is that the techs are being their skill sets are being leveled up instantly. The AI makes them into an expert technician. We are seeing a faster workflow in the workday, and then from a customer experience event, because that workflow is happening faster, the customer is getting those recommendations faster. They're more accurate, and then the service advisor is spending less time trying to coordinate between the tech and the parts department, what parts are required, what the story should be for the customer, and what we're recommending. So efficiency gains, accuracy, and taking those technicians that are coming into that industry and really leveling them up to be experts using AI.
Pete, if I could add one more thing, you're keeping the technician in their bay. They don't
Exactly.
have to take steps and walk to another location to access a computer, a diagram, a big volume book. They get to stay in their workspace and do this.
That's right.
That eliminates a lot of steps, the logistics involved. That's a big savings in time as well.
It is, Ted. Every hour today is worth more than what it was this time last year. And those operating costs within dealerships, we've seen them grow. There is a real challenge now for fixed ops directors and service managers and parts managers to really get a grip on their workflows, understand and use technology to start measuring the processes. And we feel that tools with AI enablement, particularly in those technical areas of parts, service, and warranty, they're underinvested in our industry. You know, AI, and we said that today, very big in showroom, right? Lead generation and lead sources and booking appointments, which is great. But really, as an operational cost center, when we look at service, parts, warranty, that fixed ops sort of cost, we need to start enabling our technicians, our service advisors, and our parts folks with these tools to save the extra 4 or 5 minutes of each workflow. You do that for every RO, and you've got significant efficiency gains.
And as you mentioned, the value of that RO is so much greater than it was a year ago. And the front, the dealership showroom, the sexy part of the process, it's marginal in terms of, and it's variable, okay, in terms of what they can do. But here, this is the bread and butter of the dealership. So, INFOMEDIA, Pete, with your products, you're making great strides in creating efficiencies in service, parts. I'm excited about this repair assistant. I think it's going to do a lot, okay, and you're going to get a lot of dealers adopting that early because that's addressing some of the basic needs that technicians need, and using advancements like AI and your entire suite, not just on the service side, but I mentioned the parts earlier. You're dealing with logistics and, again, making everything a lot easier for the dealer people.
Yeah, and that logistics topic, you know, Ted, is big in the context of parts and part supply chains. You know, when we think about a typical parts interpreter or parts counterman in the US at a dealership, it's a sales job. You know, their role is to take those phone calls from customers. They could be internal, it could be the collision shops, it's mechanical shops, but they're on the hook to sell $24,000 worth of business every month. You know, that's their target. And every day they spent time on the phone. That's time wasted where they could be proactively selling. So our tools are really critical in that parts department, like our parts catalogs, our microcap parts catalog. We've introduced AI tools into that solution as well now, which is great, where we're getting those collision estimates and we're processing them within 3 seconds. All those parts are identified and ready for ordering. Every minute we save in that parts workflow in the parts department is critical. So in terms of profitability, in terms of supply chain and value chain logistics, as you say, having the right part at the right time for that repair is critical. Otherwise, you're left with vehicles on in the shop that needs to be serviced. You got customers screaming, and then from a parts back order perspective, you got this inefficient process where you're constantly waiting for these parts to arrive to complete a customer repair, and that's not good for customer experience. So, look, today more than ever, digital digital workflows, not only at the customer end, but internally in that fixed ops area of parts, service, and warranty are critical. And we see that as a big opportunity at INFOMEDIA.
And one more thing, if I can add, you're enhancing the communication both internally at the dealership and back to the customer, who, as you said, is expecting. In our society, we expect I can have it now. I want to know the status of my vehicle. I want to know that if they're working on the vehicle. I want to hear from the technician. You're helping with all of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. The sneaker power that we spoke about before, right? The technician walking into the parts department, pointing at those at the catalog illustrations to find a part. That doesn't have to happen today. So we really have those solutions where the tech, the advisor, the parts department can communicate to each other. We also have data-driven workflows that allow the technician to have the smarts of the parts department in the palm of his hand with a tablet. They can look up a catalog from their work bay while they're doing the MPI process. Yeah. So that for us is where the synergies come in. I think the tech up until now has been very siloed. The parts department have had their catalogs. The service department have had their service quoting, inspection, booking systems. The warranty folks are doing their warranty processes separately. But we feel there's an opportunity now using AI to bring all that together a little bit more. So every person in that dealership, regardless of who answers that call with the customer, can answer in the same manner. So a consistent customer experience. I often quote the concept of calling a dealership and asking for a tow bar for my, Land Rover or my Toyota Prado. If you call the parts department will give you a quote for a tow bar. If you call the service department will tell you, well, we can fit it, but you have to call the parts department. I have to get back to you, and I don't have a whole price. With our data, both the service and parts department can quote a customer for a tow bar within 3 seconds. So that data sharing between the departments is critical for that efficiency and the customer experience to really take shape. So that's really what INFOMEDIA does. Our legacy is parts. We started in parts with our microcat catalog. We then released Super Service with our quoting systems and MPI booking system. And now we're sort of going into that AI era, bringing parts and service together to give the right information to the right person at the right time when we're saving time. So it's not about, productivity and efficiency is definitely there. We're saving time. But the throughput in terms of what the customer sees is so much faster, so much more accurate, and less technical. Customers don't like technical jargon. Right. So, using AI to convert that technical story from for replacing a wheel bearing into something that's customer centric is really critical. And we're paying a lot of attention to using AI to make sure that customer communication is customer centric. And they understand the value of genuine servicing. Yeah. So that's really the critical outcome of joining those separate processes within the dealership and having common data flows from parts to service to warranty to ensure that the customer gets a consistent message.
Pete, you and I have been in the industry a long time. This may be the most exciting time ever to be in the retail automotive industry with all these innovations, the AI that's happening, how that's going to impact the dealership, the customer, the logistics, the workflows, VIN-specific solutions. And with INFOMEDIA's background, as you mentioned, that rich history on the parts side as an example, there's nobody better to do this than INFOMEDIA.
Yeah, look, Ted, we sometimes internally look at our parts catalog and we go, yeah, look, that's great, and it's a steady solution for the parts department. But what it does do is it gives us the intel, the knowledge, and the intelligence required at a VIN level to make sure that those service workflows and the warranty workflows and those accessory offers in the showroom can happen in an accurate manner, and that's really critical. So, we are an OEM shop. We don't do a lot in the aftermarket space. We pride ourselves as helping OEMs and their dealerships win against the aftermarket. That's really our mantra. Our solutions, they're all data-driven. Our purpose every day is to sell more OEM parts and help the dealers sell more labor. And if we can do that using technology, particularly now with AI, we're both winning.
Pete, I know you have some exciting things ahead in 2026 coming up. For our audience watching today, who want to get on board, learn more about the things that InfoMedia is working on and has available today, how can our audience reach out to you and learn more about Repair Assistant, Simple Part, a lot of the solutions we're discussing here?
Yeah. Look, get in touch on our website, infomedia.com.au, or directly with me. But we are launching at NADA, TED, some exciting new solutions, right? So we've got some great launches coming up at NADA. Folks can come and experience our MicroCat AI solution. So that's very new, very revolutionary for our industry, where we've inserted AI capability into our parts catalog. First in the industry.
Wow.
So we're excited to showcase MicroCat AI at NADA 2026. And then we'll also be releasing our Intelligam Repair Assistant in the USA market. We'll be launching that at NADA also. So really looking forward to some great activity at NADA 2026 in Vegas. But in the meantime, our website has all the information, and certainly folks can get in touch with me directly, and we're happy to have that conversation. Very excited.
It is, Pete. Pete, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, thank you so much, and congratulations to you, and looking forward to the next innovations that are going to be announced and all the success you're having at InfoMedia.
Thank you, Ted. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to meeting you in person very soon.
Yep, will do. All right, everybody. Pete Petrovski is the Chief Strategy Officer at InfoMedia. You can reach out to him. You see the website scrolling at the bottom of the screen. His email is there as well, and they are the leader in a lot of these solutions you're hearing about now, AI-driven, parts, service, and retail-driven. Pete Petrovski, everybody, from InfoMedia, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you.
Credit card fees cutting into your profits? PayJunction's compliant smart surcharge has helped dealers save $130,000 per rooftop annually with tools that protect CSI. Our customer-facing terminals offer clear pricing options, so customers are given the freedom to choose for themselves. Want to unlock modern payment features like smart surcharge, text to pay, and cards on file? With our no-code payments integration, you can connect your current management software with modern payment technology that automatically syncs data across platforms for easy reporting and reconciliation. PayJunction, intelligent technology designed for dealers. Book your personalized savings analysis today.
Blink and you might miss them. It's Richard Lupo and Dave Perry with Blink AI.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Some industry greats with us this afternoon. Richard Lupo from Appletree Honda and Acura in North Carolina. Dave Perry, who's the CEO of Blink AI. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
It's great to be here, Ted. Good to see you and Richard.
As well, Dave.
It is. I'm really excited about hearing this story. Richard, I know you recently aligned the Appletree Group with Blink. And before I get into that, Dave, let me come back to you. For those who don't know, tell us a little bit about what problem Blink AI solves. for dealerships like Richard's?
Okay, well, thank you for that, Ted. And what Blink AI is all about is, we consider ourselves to kind of be the last mile of customer engagement for fixed ops. So there's lots of journeys that a customer, working with a dealership take, and many of those need to culminate in something actionable like an appointment to bring their car back in for service, or a number of other things, and that might be on the voice, or the telephones. It could be the web scheduler. It could be even the telematics alerts that are coming from the vehicles. In all cases, we try to capture these engagement sessions with the customer and lead them down a path that is very pleasing for them. It's quick. It's very actionable. It's clear as to what they have to do, and it solves their problem for them without a lot of human interaction on the part of the dealership itself. And so that's really what we try to accomplish.
And you're squarely in that fixed operations realm, with probably the most, if not the latest and most modern software. Dave, a lot of service drives dealers tell us that they're already full. They've already got a backlog of customers. It takes a while to make an appointment. Tell me why this is important now, and how exactly this creates value.
Sure. Well, of course, it may be a slightly different scenario if the service drive is full with, full pay customers. But it's also about retention of those customers as well through the life cycle. And it's a bit of a, sad statistic that a number, anywhere from 50 to 70% of customers statistically leave, the dealership domain after their warranty period. And so we want to re-engage with those customers every opportunity we can. We want to bring them back in using, our outbound campaigns or telematics alerts to keep them connected with that dealership. So it's not just that next oil change, but it's the next service of all sorts, plus the next purchase that they make. That's our goal, Ted.
Okay. And Richard, I was thinking of you at Appletree because I know you're a very busy organization. Bring us up to speed, Richard. What was happening before you implemented Blink AI?
Well, Ted, we go through a process of looking for opportunities. It's a reoccurring process we put ourselves through. And one of the things that we looked at the last time we went through this process was the amount of incoming phone calls and traffic to the dealership versus the amount of online appointments that are made. And we, like every dealership, have online scheduling. You hit our webpage and you go through the steps and make an appointment. And the results of how many web appointments the customers made was horrible, to be honest with you. It was eye-opening. And so we went to the backside of our website and really dug into the analytics of the clicks and the unique identifiers. And what we found was there were a lot of people trying to make appointments, and the abandonment rate was solidly 50%.
Wow.
Across the board. And then when you drilled into it a little deeper, the more intricate the appointment, so the higher the abandonment rate. So you had a much higher level of people that would make an oil change appointment, for example, but they had air conditioning or brake concerns or more specific, more in-depth concerns. The abandonment rate was 75-80%. And we looked at that and said, there's a ton of room for improvement here. And everything that goes downstream from there, lightening up the load of incoming calls. And then what we really look at is if we had 50 or 60 cars that showed up every day as walk-ins, the amount of those people that couldn't get through to our phones, weren't getting through timely, showed up. And that's a bunch of wild cards you have to deal with every day.
Sure.
So when we looked at it, we said, if we can cure this and we can drive traffic and get a process that's simple for our customers to make an online appointment, it'll drive down the number of wild cards that show up in your service drive every day, and it'll significantly reduce the call volume to your BDC, giving them more time for customers that actually need that kind of attention when they have more intricate problems and questions that need to be solved. So that's kind of where we started. We went out into the marketplace and through some introductions, we came across Blink and we liked their product and we signed up with them, and the results were immediate and dramatic.
And I'm thinking of those customers trying to make an appointment, Richard. You're right. They end up becoming a walk-in, and that in turn would put a lot of pressure on your
Yeah.
advisors, on your staff, on your techs. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I think that's part of what you wanted to alleviate as well.
It's a huge benefit from the tools that Blink offers, in that we do 150 cars a day and 40 or 50 of them showed up without appointments.
Wow.
You got to reserve 30% of your day, 40% of your day for unknown.
Sure.
And the more quantifiable your day is when you start, and you can drive that 50 cars of showing up with no appointment down to 15 or 20. You have made a huge difference in the way you approach your day and the efficiency that you can bring when you know to a very large extent what you're dealing with before you start the day.
Dave, a lot of dealers would like the efficiency of having those walk-ins become known so they could plan their days a whole lot better. And I think that's part of the solution that Blink AI brings to the table.
Well, it does. As Richard says, when you give them a better opportunity to convert first time that they reach out to make an appointment, then it's not just, easing the pain on the dealership. Think of it from the end customer's perspective. I show up, I get there really early thinking I'm going to be the first one in line, and I get there and I'm the, 21st in line. And then it's like, okay, maybe I'm better off going somewhere else. And so it really solves the problem for both sides of that equation there. And it makes everyone's, life easier, which is what we want to do.
Richard,
I have to compliment Richard too, by the way, Ted, because the way that Richard's approached this and looking at it is like, you don't automate bad processes too. So a lot of what we do is automate, things that exist already inside the dealership. And so he's, looked at it from the perspective of, look, I got to look at not just the customer facing part of it, but internally, how can we do a better job, integrating ourselves around this automation so that we can make that customer's experience a lot better. And so he's really great at reaching that back out and saying, hey, what about this? How can we, add some additional functionality? Because that's the way we learn. I mean, we sit in front of computer screens all day. He sits in front of customers all day. And so, man, that experience is just incredibly valuable for us. So thank you, Richard.
Your team has been a pleasure to work with. And, Ted, to just close the circle on that, we asked the Blink team to do some customization and do some things that they hadn't done before.
Oh, wow.
To help close a loop in part of the process for us. And they just knocked it out of the ballpark. There wasn't any pushback. They went to work. They saw the value in what we were asking to get done, and they absolutely went to work and knocked it out of the park for us.
Right. So, Richard, you went live with Blink. Tell us what happened next, and what were the takeaways, and maybe what surprised you the most.
Probably what surprised me the most was how much was out there that we weren't realizing. The just sheer there was volume in this channel that we didn't know existed. When we looked back, we were getting 60, 70, 80 appointments, online appointments on a monthly basis. So 2 or 3 a day, we're making online appointments. It was not a significant part of our business.
Well,
We flipped the switch with Blink,
wow.
and the very first month we hit just over 600 online appointments in the first 30 days. And so we had no idea that channel was that strong, and it existed. It just was too complicated for our customer when they hit our website. So the biggest surprise was just how much of a channel was there that we just didn't know was there until we decided to do something about it. Go ahead.
And Dave, this is a concern for other dealers because I know I've heard the conversations on the roundtable by service managers and fixed ops directors telling us, we know that customers abandon our service scheduler far too early and far too often. So, Dave, this really is an issue for dealers.
Oh, it's a huge issue for dealers, and it's not just the web scheduler. There's lots of other sort of interactions. If you go to the phone systems, often it's if they're calling expecting a live person, nowadays people are 24/7. I'm not necessarily making a note to myself to call Monday morning and book an appointment. I want to book it at that moment, and whether I call the dealership or I go to the website, or if I do the Google search and find them there, they want to book the appointment and get it over with because they've got other things in their life they're trying to deal with. And we just collectively made it a lot easier for them and increased their satisfaction with the car they purchased and the service that they get from that dealership. Yeah, it's very
100%.
exciting to hear that.
Yeah, no, and we were so pleased with the results with Blink. Initially, we just put them on the Honda deal. We have a Honda and an Acura franchise, and initially we only did the web scheduler at the Honda dealership, and the results were so dramatic that we then went and added it to our Acura web scheduler, and now we've signed up with Blink to handle automating the telematics for our customers. And I just got off a call with the support team at Blink, and the first month's results, not even quite the first month's results, but the first results coming in are amazing with what we've been able to do with outgoing text messages to text messages and communications to people for telematics.
Wow. So, Richard, would you describe this as a culture shift in the service lane, not just for your people, but for the guests as well?
It's absolutely a culture shift for our customers. So for the last few years, we've been driving forward with the intent to bring a much more modern interaction with our customers. Whether it's kiosks or our hours of operation, the tools we use to write the cars up, and communications and online payments, and just all those things, bringing just a 360-degree, much more modern experience for our customers. And this plays right into that with the appointment reminders and the automation of just the whole thing. It's a much, much improved experience for our customers. And I would say that it's almost not a culture change for our staff internally. It's actually finding big gaps in our process and automating them. So it's actually no additional work to our staff.
Dave, there's a lot of great takeaways here.
I'm going to get Richard to write the book next time for us. No, it's a great perspective, and it really feels good for us. I mean, our whole team is very proud of what we do, and your customers like Richard, give us that sort of feedback. It's just invaluable, Ted.
So, Dave, here we are squarely in the fourth quarter, midway through the month of November. Dealers right now are making plans, not just for the fourth quarter. They're planning now for next year, for 2026.
Absolutely.
They're looking ahead. They're making those plans now, as I'm sure Richard is as well. Dave, what do you see as the biggest opportunity for dealerships coming up in the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months?
Sure. I think it's all about AI. I mean, I think, technologies can go through, hype cycles. It's very famous, in the tech industry to go through these things. But AI just generally is a big game changer, but it's about how it gets deployed, where it gets deployed, how interactive it is with the customer, how integrated it is. I mean, you could go find one-offs and the auto business is somewhat famous for this, just single point solutions to do lots of different things without a lot of sideways integration between them. And I think that the thing you're going to see, particularly from Blink, is an integration, deploying AI across all customer engagement modes, but integrated with one another so that, when you call the dealership or you go to the dealer's website, we're already aware. You may be booking an oil change, but we can make you aware that your car is given an alert that needs further attention, more diagnostic work. And so we let that customer know at that point in time so they don't arrive there looking for an oil change in the quick lane and then find out, oh no, we've also now got to do a diagnostic, and that's going to be more time, or it's another visit. It's about making that customer experience just so single threaded and pleasant for them that they are like, oh my gosh, I just love this car and I love this service. That's what we're about. And I think you're going to see more and more and more of that. We got a really exciting year planned out. We've got a whole new technology, roadmap coming up. We're going to be making some, new announcements at NADA that, hopefully will surprise people. Richard, will be brought into the loop beforehand, of course, so we can get his feedback. But we got a lot of exciting things coming up from the company.
Richard, you're working with a very exciting partner right now in Blink AI.
We really are. And to follow up with what Dave was talking about and what you asked over the next 12, 24 months, of course, we got to get through Black Friday, Thanksgiving, and get to the end of the year. And we have the integration that Dave is talking about and getting a handle on that, and then actually really drilling down another level and getting not just, hey, you've got an appointment set and here's a reminder, but also what piggybacks from that. There's a lot of opportunity there that I see, and there's a huge advantage that we have right now with our technology. We saw it in the travel and entertainment business with lead generation going out to the Expedias of the world. We saw it on the front end of our business, with the lead generation coming out of cars.com and all of the third-party websites. And I think that we're going to be able to miss that. And we're going to be able to keep that in-house and resist the temptation for third-party generation because we're at a different point with technology. Partnering with a company like Blink that is on the front end of that is going to be one of the factors that keeps us relevant and prosperous going into the future.
Richard, how would you summarize the ROI if you had to do that in, let's say, one sentence?
I can do it in one word: excellent.
Okay. All right. Very good. There you have it.
I've sat with you, Ted, for a long time, and I would not say these things if I didn't absolutely 100% believe in it. It's been a great partnership so far with Blink.
All right. Well, congratulations to both of you, Richard Lupo at Appletree Honda and Acura. Dave Perry, he doesn't leave us much to say other than if his peers want to get involved with Blink AI and learn more as part of their plan for the upcoming months and the upcoming year. Dave, what's the best way for the audience to learn more and maybe have their questions answered as well?
Sure. Well, appreciate that. And again, Richard, I just want to return those same accolades to you as well. I mean, partnerships are always two-way, and so you can't have a partnership with just one end of it. But yeah, just reach out to us on www.blinkai.com. Follow us on LinkedIn, connect with us on LinkedIn, DM us. We're very accessible. Give Ted a call. He's got my phone number directly. And we're very open. We're very engaged with the community, and just reach out and say hi to us. And we'll show you a demo. We'll come visit you, and we'll get you set up and hopefully get the same results or maybe not quite as good, but we'll get you as good a results as we can. And Richard's set a high bar here. So congrats to him.
Yeah, you both do. So congratulations to both. Richard Lupo, Appletree Honda and Acura. Dave Perry, the CEO of Blink AI. You can learn more on the web at blinkai.com. Dave's email, his personal email, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. On behalf of the Roundtable, Richard and Dave, want to wish you and your families and the families at your respective organizations a very happy Thanksgiving next week.
Thank you, Ted.
You so much.
Same to you. Right.
Everybody, Blink AI here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
The fastest pit change in a Formula One race took 1.80 seconds. At Blink AI, we say challenge accepted as we take your dealership from zero to hero with our platform that's purpose-built to shift the customer experience into high gear. Unlike solutions that promise efficiency with AI chatbots, Blink AI turns your dealership operation into a profit powerhouse. With Blink AI, you get scheduling solutions that work together to increase your bottom line. It's about turning interactions into actions that drive dealership success. We're talking about intelligent phone automation and seamless scheduling that increases appointments without increased overhead, and workflow automation that eliminates service bottlenecks and boosts staff productivity, and a customer campaign solution that proactively engages customers and increases CSI scores. Blink AI, your dealership's #1 pit crew.
Okay, how would you like to pay? Card, cash, or check?
I will do a card.
Okay, thank you very much. And will you sign right here?
Sure.
Okay, have a great day.
Great, thank you.
Introducing Dealer Pay Moves, Dealer Pay's new mobile application for dealerships on the move. It's really great because all you have to do is search for your repair order. It's then going to search whichever DMS that the dealership is connected to. As you can see, it's going to pull up that customer record in that open repair order. I'm simply going to select it. Now you've got all your customer details here, including the surcharge amount if it were to be applied with a credit card. I've got options to pay by credit debit. I can key enter the transaction. I can use a paper check or even report cash. I can even add transactions in here so I can do some real-time voids and refunds. Dealer Pay Moves is a great solution for your dealership to stay relevant and mobile.
Keep your UVEye on the prize with the Process Adoption Panel up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have the UVEye panel, the MRI for cars. And Ted, we've got quite the conversation prepared for our guests today.
Sarah, we really do. It's exciting. We've been awaiting the UVEye panel for some time. Really honored to welcome our guests today. Max Landau is the service manager at Cruise Chevrolet. Max, first time on the roundtable. Welcome. Very honored to have you here. Michelle as well, Michelle Taylor with UVEye, Vice President of Customer Success. Michelle and Max, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excited to be on. Well, Max, I want to kick things off because UVEye, as we just opened with the MRI for cars, this has really been part of the transparency that customers are expecting today. But I'd love to get your perspective. What are some specific challenges that you were facing that drove you to adopt UVEye?
So in the industry, no matter where you are, and I come from the Northeast and moved down to Charleston, it doesn't quite matter what state or what facility you're in, you're always going to have, a couple customers that may not have seen some damage on their vehicle that they didn't know of, or perhaps maybe they weren't aware of, that the UVEye catches. And when we run cars through our process, every car goes through our UVEye within 20 minutes of the vehicle entering the dealership. Before it ever gets parked or put into a service bay, so we can document the current condition of the vehicle and send that to the customer just to assure that, hey, your vehicle is going to be leaving here in the same exact or if not better condition than it arrived in. To be honest with you, when I came down, I've never seen a UVEye apparatus before I came to Cruise Chevrolet. It was here when I first arrived last July. And I kind of looked at it a little sideways. I had no idea what it was about. But as I learned more about it and as we used it, it became more and more of a crucial part of our system and our process. And mainly, like you said, that transparency. For me, I have two very simple sayings and two mantras in this business, and that's truth and transparency lead to transaction, as well as people backed up by technology. And I think the UVEye supports both those mantras perfectly. And we're just excited and getting better and using it every day, as well as what's next in the process.
And Michelle, hearing Max talk about the pieces, that he's experienced at the dealership, I imagine there's a lot of dealers that you talk to that, come to UVEye to solve some of those specific challenges. So what are some of the customer expectations that you're seeing across the industry that are leading people to start the conversation with UVEye?
Yeah, great question. I think the core challenge with non-UVEye dealers is the lack of visibility and accountability across every lane, right? And dealers that do come on board with a UVEye partnership, they realize that by giving you truth in seconds, no opinions and no guesswork is driving that gross profitability for their service lanes.
To follow up on that with Max on that visibility and accountability, Max, how has UVEye integrated into the processes at your dealership?
So, like I mentioned, it fits both of our mantras perfectly. And if we're going to be doing a walk around with our customer at their vehicle, I can educate, I can teach, I can show them what a bump stop is. I can run their hand over the shoulder of a tire and say, this is what a misalignment feels like. But in today's world, we're not as trusting as maybe we used to be, right? And, sometimes we'll have that doubt in our mind from dealership employee to customer. It makes sense what they're saying, but I don't know if I can trust it entirely, right? Maybe this is the first visit, they don't know us so well. When we send that UVEye report, that brings that transparency to the forefront. It backs up everything our advisor is saying in the service drive, and it allows that customer to understand that everything we're doing is honest, truthful, transparent, and we're backing it up with technology, right? Because most people now, if it's on a computer and it's on a nice layout and a screen, they're going to believe it, right? So it's about getting the customer's shoulders from here to here, right? As quickly as we can in the service process and getting them to understand that this is a safe place to bring your vehicle. We're going to treat you the right way. We want to take care of you, your wallet, and the vehicle, right? So that's the premise that it backs up, and UVEye really supports that every single way. And with truth and transparency, as well as people backed up by technology, it fits our mantras perfectly.
And Michelle, this is a real transparent look at the vehicle before the doctor looks at the vehicle. It's early in the process. It's upfront. And if you want to speak to some of those things, including the trust factor.
Yeah, and even to Max's point, right, from like how dealers have integrated UVEye into their processes, right? We've made sure that it slides right into their existing inspection workflow, so that we're not adding new systems to the team's process, right? And we're leveling up what they're already doing. And of course, the difference now is Max's advisors walk into every interaction armed with visuals and data instead of that trust me language, Did I answer your question? Sorry, I was passionate about Max's response and
I think you're right on the money with what you said because, in service and in parts at the dealership, we've got to earn that trust early, okay? And what better place to do that and build a rapport than at their vehicle? I think it's the best tool that we've got, and a lot of dealerships overlook that. So congratulations to UVEye on really, Michelle, you've really changed the entire industry in the way we look at that service transaction, and by doing that in that transparent method early on.
I also think, thank you. I also feel, and I think Max would oblige, is everyone has this uncomfortable feel around AI. But what AI does is it allows us to be humans, right? And now Max's team is able to really focus on what matters, is that eye contact with 100% of their customers 100% of the time.
Max, I want to come back to something you said at the beginning of our conversation. You talked about the first time that you saw a UVEye machine and your initial reaction. And I'm imagining, I've seen the UVEye system at a dealership, and, customers, when they first come in, maybe they've been going to that service department for a while, but now, whoa, there's something different. What's going on? So what were your customers' initial reactions to passing through the system?
A little surprised. So we drive all the vehicles through the lane ourselves. We don't allow the customers to drive through the UVI with some of our vehicles, and spatially, it's a little bit tight, so we want to make sure that we're not damaging any mirrors or anything like that. So we drive the vehicles through, but it's interesting to see the customer's perspective if they don't know what the UVI is already. Many of our customers do, and it's interesting how they're teaching other customers what the UVI is within our store. But they're inquisitive about it initially. And at the consultation and the walk around, we queue up the fact that we're going to bring the vehicle through the UVI inspection, because it's important to let them know, hey, this is the technology we're using. This is what we're using to support why you're bringing the vehicle in today. And let's say it's son and daughter who brought the car in and they need to call mom and dad, right? They now have this UVI inspection that they can send to their parents, husband to wife, wife to husband, whatever the case may be. So that visual evidence is there, right? And they can say, yeah, you know what, they told you need tires. Looks like we need tires, and once they get that report back from the technician, another really great thing about the UVI is it takes away that shock factor, right? The customer's not going to be so surprised when the advisor calls and says, hey, you need $800 or $1,200 worth of tires. They've already had at least 20 to 30 minutes to kind of sit on that information and kind of say, yeah, you know what? I can see it here. The evidence is there. We absolutely need them. They're being honest. You know what? Let's get some pricing. Let's see what our next steps are. And the customer engagement with UVI is really interesting as well. And it's been fun to watch over time. We have a large display board in our customer lounge that's basically just a big UVI screen. And customers will go up to it, find their car, and start talking about it. And other customers will walk up curious to see what it is. And customers are teaching other customers how to use the UVI and how to look for things. So that's really the exciting part of it, is that now it's not only foreign technology, but it's technology that our customers are getting to know, getting to appreciate, and more importantly, getting to expect when they come in for service with us. Right? It's something that, right now we're doing a little bit differently than everyone else. And with sending videos, sending our UVI inspections, it's really hammering home that truth and transparency.
Michelle, I'm seeing this as Max is describing it in the customer's experience. There's a pivotal moment. There's before UVI and there's after UVI. And so I'm curious to also get your perspective. What kind of feedback are you getting from dealerships that install UVI, and the feedback that their customers are sharing as they're experiencing this new way of doing business?
Great question. So, dealer feedback is around, the curiosity is leading to that consumer confidence, right? Being able to bridge that customer trust gap. They're seeing measurable bumps in CSI because of that transparency that Max has spoken about. They're like, Michelle, I was about to be all country because I have a lot of country stores that are very like, Michelle, you can't fake an image generated straight from a scan. And I'm like, you sure can. But yeah, I mean, aside from CSI, I mean, I'm seeing, increase in tire and alignment sales. Okay. We're seeing an increase now on the variable side from a reconditioning perspective, being able to hold on trades, speed the market from a merchandising perspective, seeing the full 360 of a dealership operation positively being affected by the UVI partnership.
Michelle, I'm glad you brought that up because, Max, I want to pivot a little bit and talk about other parts of the dealership that are benefiting from the UVI system, specifically sales, used cars. Michelle mentioned recon, also acquisitions of vehicles on the service drive, probably the best place a dealership can acquire them. How is UVI being utilized in some of these things?
So UVEye is being utilized in both our sales departments as well as our recon department. Any car that we take in on trade, goes through the UVEye initially to get a base inspection report on just, the outside and underneath, as well as they'll run it through after recon as well, just to be able to show the customer the differences if we made any kind of paint corrections, tire installations, modifications to the vehicle. We just want that full transparency from, hey, this is what the customer did when they previously owned the vehicle. This is what it looked like when we had it. This is what it looked like after we reconned the vehicle, just to give that timeline of events. And as well as for the sales department, they don't have to have that weird salesperson standing in the service drive every day trying to pick, service customers apart. They can simply go into UVEye, look at the age and mileage of vehicles, look at the condition, and really gauge as to what may be a good car to trade in or try to purchase, or whatever the next move is on the sales side. So the more and more we get involved with UVEye, the more and more applications it has. And, selfishly, I'm a little bit more fixated on the service side of the business and what the next applications are, especially tying into the GM or whatever the manufacturer is, tire departments.
Sure.
But it's being utilized all over the dealership. And, every day we're getting better and better with it. And it's a full purpose tool.
Michelle, what are you seeing around the country as dealers, continue to strive for transparent transaction and utilize the UVEye system?
I mean, huge crossover wins, especially on the variable side. Dealers are seeing about an average of $300 that they're saving per vehicle that they're reconditioning. And due to our merchandising experience, cars are selling up to a week faster on the dealership's website. So again, what started as fixed ops now has turned into that full store revenue engine. And that's really what my team is focusing on right now, is just making sure all of our stores are driving adoption across variable to fixed.
Great point. And, Max, on the variable side, I can hear the used car manager now saying, we want to turn that vehicle around and sell it in the first 10 days, or maybe the first 15 days, because typically the gross profit is the highest earlier on. As a vehicle ages and gets older, 30 days and beyond, it's not quite as attractive anymore. So, Max, what you're doing really benefits the entire dealership, not just service and parts.
Sure, of course. And, as much as I don't like one of my service cars getting flipped into a sales, but that just turns into another service customer. So it's the dealership circle of life, and, we're happy to support it. And yeah, it's been a great tool so far. And like I said, we're just going to get better and better at using it every single day.
Mm-hmm. Max, I want to come back a second because you mentioned GM a minute ago, and there's specific pieces that dealerships around the country are looking at. And of course, any of our listeners today might have various OEMs that are part of their dealership or their dealership group. Are there any specific advantages that you're seeing Chevrolet dealers achieving using this system?
I think the real advantage will be when the integration to GM Tire Center is fully set up. For us, and if we're talking about time and efficiency, right? If I'm running a vehicle through the UVEye and it's integrated into my, DMS system as well as Tire Central, theoretically I should be able to have tire quotes within seconds. What's available, what's not available in my inventory, what's recommended for the vehicle. They should be able to cross-reference that against manufacturer promotions, like we have a buy three, get one right now. So that just eases time for the advisor, the parts department, the entire dealership to get that information over to our customers, right? And we're not trying to make a hard sell on the service drive, even though the UVEye will make that a whole lot easier. We want that to be a soft sell. We want to get that information over to our customers. Hey, this is what we saw in our inspection. We're queuing up some tires for you. If you look at your UVEye report, it's going to have a couple of options for you with our install prices included. And that will just ease kind of operations at the dealership, especially if you're a domestic and dealing with express work. But for every manufacturer, this will save time as well as increase profit and efficiency for the dealership and stop, some of those defectors from going to, the outside brick and mortars.
Michelle, this is so critical right now as Max is talking about customer retention and, customers, the age of vehicles on the road, are averaging 12 and a half years, which means, they're holding onto their cars longer. Tires are going to be part of that equation. Could you share with us a little bit more? This is really exciting to hear about some of the integrations that you're going to be having with Chevrolet and other OEMs.
Yeah, well, listen, Chevrolet GM dealers have a big opportunity in brand consistency and trust with our partnership, right? And with that, Max, we actually went to market with a GM integration for Tire Central. So we started the process of enabling our stores. So now, with the click of a button, Max's team will be able to quote tires within seconds.
Excellent.
Michelle, here we are in the latter part of the fourth quarter. Dealers are now making their plans for 2026 to looking ahead. A lot of dealers want to make up whatever lost revenue they may have on the variable side and do that in fixed ops. So they're coming to Max, okay, and saying, hey, we gotta get a little bit more in 2026. Michelle, what kind of questions do dealers come to UVEye with? What do you hear early on? And I also want to ask you if UVEye will be at that big show in Las Vegas. I think it's early February next year.
Yes. So we will be at NADA next year. So don't be scared. Come to our booth.
Okay.
2026, the conversations we're having with our dealers right now is retention, right? Retention is of essence to your statement, Sarah, earlier about customers are keeping their vehicle longer, which means the service lane will be where the absorption occurs, right? And so dealers are always asking, Michelle, my missed opportunities. That means you need to look at 100% of those missed opportunities and present to 100% of your customers 100% of the time. And when you do that, 70-ish% say yes. So that's the conversations that we're having today with our stores in preparation for 2026. A second pillar that we're leaning into is vehicle acquisition, because we all know pricing and fees at the auction can be a little bit aggressive right now.
Yeah.
And so the best place to source inventory is your service lane. So again, making that process seamless for our dealers to take advantage of their customers' vehicles.
And Max, if you had just a short period of time, maybe a minute or so, to speak to your peers who are watching today, the other service, fixed operations, general managers who are making plans for 2026, and maybe they heard about UVEye, maybe their peers in their 20 group are using it. What would you say to them now that you've had the time to see it in action, work with it? What would you say?
I would say in a time where we're in a technological age, we need to keep up with technology, and the more we do so, the better we're going to be as dealerships. And I think the overall theme here and what UVEye does and what we've been discussing is that truth and transparency, right? That's something that every single dealership is trying to provide to their customers, whether they're bringing them into the shop to meet the technician firsthand, whether they're taking technician videos, or whether they're using UVEye. That transparency is everything in this world today. Trust on the outside world is kind of diminishing day by day. So the more that we can do to bring that transparency, to build that trust in the dealership, to kind of change that mantra of the automotive industry that everyone's just out to swindle you and get you, that's a battle that we fight every single day here. We know it's impossible to win, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop fighting it. But UVEye gives us a distinct advantage of being ahead of the curve and winning that battle, right? The more we can show our customers, the more we can bring them into the fold, and more importantly, the more involved they are, right? When they're involved in a process, they're much more likely to buy. They're much more engaged. They're much more intrigued about the tools and technology that we're using. When it's just a transactional, feel, customers can sense that, and they're not likely to purchase there. But when we're using, the technology we are, and better yet, educating the customer as to what it does and why it's beneficial for them, and that engagement is there, it's a no-brainer, right? So to utilize technology like this, to me, after seeing it, using it for the time that I have, would be a yes every single day. So I would advise, others in the industry, not my direct competitors, but others in the industry to absolutely, get this apparatus and get trained on it and get using it, because it's a 100% net positive.
Michelle, we'll give you the last word. And how does our audience reach out and learn more and have their questions answered.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Listen, at the end of the day, UVEye transforms the dealership from being reactive to proactive,
Mhm.
by making every scan a moment of truth that truly drives revenue. If you want to get a hold of us, we have a brand new website. It's a lot of insights on that website, full of case studies and best practices at UVEye.com. And if you have any questions and you're a current dealer, you can actually reach out to me directly, which is michelle.t@uvei.com.
Both Michelle and Max, Sarah and I want to wish you and your families and the UVEye family a very happy Thanksgiving at the end of next week. And thank you for all that you do for the industry and bringing us forward.
Of course. Thank you so much, and same to you and yours.
Yes, likewise. Thank you all so much.
Everyone, you can learn more at UVEye.com. The MRI for cars. Visit the new website. I just did. It's amazing. You want to take a look. It's new for 2026, and make this a part of your 2026 plans. So on behalf of Sarah, I'm Ted Ings. Thank you to UVEye, here today with us at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
With the integration of UVEye and vAuto together, it really brings the best of both worlds. It brings you the digital forefront as far as what UVEye can bring. It brings you the knowledge and backing of acquisition and everything vAuto has to incorporate. Having that together allows not only your managers and your acquisition team to do more and more effectively, you're also catching the customer at the quickest time and turnaround.
That kind of automation, to put it in perspective, if you have $1 million inventory and you have $200,000 that's sitting out there that's not being used, well, today we can get those $200,000 photographed and merchandised instantly. And so what we like is the ability to be able to scan our vehicles as they're coming in. We're able to tag that into our appraisals, our inspection process. This level of detail that it's able to deliver to our team is certainly incredible, and it's the future, and us being able to leverage today's technology to be able to accomplish that is everything that we're looking for.
Understanding that service is really the lifeblood of a lot of brands. It gives you the best fixed absorption, and the biggest pain point has always been that multi-point inspection to make it on a consistent basis.
I'm very excited about the relationship between UVEye and vAuto coming together. It's a perfect relationship where it just makes sense, where the two can work together, where we can get the inspection, the photos, and have it talk and get direct appraisals, which then integrate with VIN Solutions. That entire ecosystem speaks exactly to what we're looking to accomplish. And so the fact that you guys are working together, I think it truly is the next best step for us.
Stop what you're doing, because we're breaking news right out of the gate. The Fixed Ops Roundtable is coming to NADA in Las Vegas, and we're opening a very limited number of media and spotlight opportunities. If you want in, stay right here. Now let's crank it up. January 26th through the 29th, the Fixed Ops Roundtable unleashes our next virtual event, Rock Revolution. 4 electric days, non-stop momentum, and the biggest names in fixed ops take the stage to drop the strategies, breakthroughs, and profit-driving plays that will dominate 2026. This isn't a podcast. This isn't a Zoom. This is a full-throttle, amped-up experience for service, parts, leadership, and every dealership ready to own the year. So plug in, turn the volume to max, and get your team locked in for Rock Revolution January 26th through the 29th. And remember, Vegas is calling. Reach out now for exclusive NADA media opportunities.
Don't be afraid to hit the gas. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable Fastlane event.
Experience the horsepower behind the Fast and Furious, Brian Benstock.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. We are at the CAMS Industry Summit here at Northwood University. And Ted, Brian Benstock is with us, and he just delivered an incredible keynote session.
Keynote session by Brian Benstock is like none other. Brian, congratulations, and tell us a little bit about some of the things you discussed today.
Well, we're talking about the chaos that's going on in the world, and it affects our industry. And what I try and do, and it's try, which is to tone it out and to pay attention to what the data is showing us. And the data is showing us a lot of good things. The data is showing us that there's strong interest in new car sales. There's strong interest in parts and service sales. The vehicles have never been older that are on the road now, and customers are still servicing the cars and have not hit that resistance point yet in service. So I think that's really, really exciting.
Brian, this is last year. I remember you being here at Northwood University, and today you took the stage, but really the students are at the center of the conversation here at Northwood, and that's something that I remember last year you brought up. How has this year's experience differed from last year's?
That's a great question. You know, what we talked about this year is the threat that has been out there for students, and that's that AI is going to replace their jobs once they get out of school. And it can, if you don't embrace it. It can, if you're looking at jobs that can easily be replaced by AI, but it could also be a great tool for you. And I showed a couple of slides that show that more millionaires will be made in the next 5 years than have been made in the past 20 years with the digital and online experience. So if they lean into it and they embrace it, it's not man versus machine, it's man with machine. And so if I hope to convey a message to, it's a message of optimism. We showed a couple of these young people in their 20s that have become, you know, I mean, the gentleman that got acquired by Meta for $250 million. He's a young, I have shoes older than this person. And then when you look at 80% of the service business, Ted, going to the independents, that's an incredible opportunity for fixed ops in the dealer space. When you look at the service industry going from an $800 billion industry to $2.2 trillion between now and 2032, you know, that's something we all want to be have a piece of and be a part of, and certainly at a greater level than 20%, which is what we have now.
What opened my eyes, Brian, was when you showed the competitors to Paragon not being the other Honda dealers or Acura dealers, but being the independents, and the number of them that we have to pass just to get to the dealership and the convenience factor. If you want to speak to that, because I think that's a big part of it.
Well, yeah, everyone thinks that the independents are taking our business because they're less expensive, and you know they're hiring the same people in the same market using the same equipment. So it's not that; it's proximity. We just make it easy for people to do business. I think with our pickup and delivery strategy, it's made it easy for people to do business. Can't make it any easier. Dale Pollock said to me a long time ago, and I love Dale. He said that 96 to 97% of the time, you're not using your car. And so that was a light bulb for me. Why not make better use of the time that people are not using their car to service the car? Well, I don't provide any value sitting in a customer's in a waiting room while my car is being serviced. So they can service it while I'm at work. They can service it while I'm at some other event, but I don't have to sit there. And when we started looking at that, and what if we applied that to the mass of people, not just luxury customers, we thought we'd have a good opportunity. I never knew that it would be as great as it's been for us.
And Brian, going back to the opportunity for a second, you cited a point in your presentation that was really profound. You talked about 90,000 opportunities coming in and closing 10,000 transactions. And looking at the math on that, dealers may not think that's a particularly great metric, but you describe the opportunity in that number. Could you share a little bit more about that?
You know, that's the funny thing about a metric. It's neither good nor bad. It's a number. And so we want to take a look at the number and make it better. You get on a scale, there's no good number or bad number. It's the number, and improve it. You may want to weigh more, you may want to weigh less, improve the metric. And so when we look at 10% conversion on 90,000, you know, is it a good job or a bad job? Well, I think there's a lot more opportunity there. And I love that. Can you imagine? We're pretty successful with this current rate of success and conversion. Well, what if we had a 1% improvement? That's so high, so profound, or 2 or 3 or 4%. And I think that's what I've got the Paragon lab working on now, is how do we get those 1, 2, 3% improvements that'll have a profound impact on our business and the bottom line.
Final question for today, Brian. What's ahead? I know, as Sarah mentioned, this is your second year that we've seen you speaking here at Northwood. What's your message to the students? Any plans for Paragon and Northwood with the students in the future? Because this is a great passionate pipeline of people.
Yeah, well, we're developing a leadership course with Northwood University that we can put in place at Paragon, and then we want to cross-pollinate, right? I'm going to send my Paragon people here. I'm going to send the students to us, and we're going to try and steal the students. I mean, hire the students, and to take the enthusiasm and the intelligence that they have is something that would be really great for us to add to Paragon. So we're going to have some cross-pollination going with Dr. Bennett. He's been a wonderful supporter, and we look forward to expanding our footprint with Northwood.
Brian, thank you for elevating our game, all of us, on behalf of Northwood University, and great honor to have you.
Ted, we started out in a little place, a little hotel lobby in New Jersey, and look at what you've done. I'm really proud of what both you guys have done. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
You're a big part of
Appreciate it.
Brian Benstock, everybody, here at Northwood University at the 62nd Annual International Auto Show.
Awesome.
Welcome to the high-stakes world of the intern. Only the most dedicated, hard-working, and eager student will stand out above the rest and earn exclusive opportunities, recognition, and rewards from the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
It's time to turn the tables. This time, it's more than just an internship. It's a competition. We're hosting an entire reality show.
10 interns will enter the boardroom. Only one will win it all. Who will drive their career to the top?
We'll see you in the boardroom.
Radio in on the technology trends in automotive with our next panel filmed live at the CAM Summit event.
Welcome to the CAMS Industry Summit here at Northwood University. I'm Sarah Vantine of the Fixed Ops Roundtable here with Ted Ings, and today our first session will be covering technology trends in automotive. And Ted, we have an esteemed group with us this morning.
Sarah, we do. We're at the 62nd Annual Northwood International Auto Show, and our first panel today is about technology trends in automotive. We have some leaders in our industry. I'm going to ask you each to introduce yourself and what you do, starting with Maureen. We'll go right down the line. As we get a little bit further, Sarah will hand that microphone a little bit further in. Maureen?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Maureen Martin. I'm our Vice President of Strategic Alliances for Dynatron Software. We are on the fixed operations side, obviously, of the business, and just delighted to be back here at Northwood University.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Grubich. I'm CEO of an organization called GoTrago. We are a talent firm. We help organizations with identifying and bringing in and developing the right talent for their auto dealerships.
Brian Kramer. I'm the Executive Vice President of Cars.com, Dealer Growth Success.
I'm Gigi Ho. I'm VP of Technology and Data at SEMA, and we put on the largest vehicle trade show in the world.
You do. Good morning. I'm Shawn Leibold. I'm with Reynolds & Reynolds. I handle our industry relations.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Diego Rojas. I manage our DART program at Lithia and Driveway.
Yeah.
Excellent, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for being here this morning. To kick things off, and I'd like to start with Maureen first. We want to talk about key technologies in driving innovation. Maureen, from your perspective, what is the most important pieces that we should be considering regarding technology in our industry today?
I think one of the biggest things is that we need to develop technology that solves issues that we have in the automotive industry. So when we're looking at serving our retail dealerships, it's very important to make sure that, for example, in our case with data is only as good as it is actionable. And how do we take that data and help a dealership to really thrive and grow? Because when you think about automotive, I mean, we are at the free enterprise here at Northwood University, but think about the fact that we represent that in every single community in this country. And so when we look at that, we want to look at things that are solving those issues. We want to be able to leverage the technology to make it so that they can focus on their people, their culture, and their customers. And so we're really looking at things that are taking AI and machine learning, and how do you really take it to take that information to make it actionable. So for really looking at what we're doing in technology, and you look at this panel I've had the privilege to work with in the industry, is how do we leverage that collaboratively together for net profit of our dealerships? Because at the end of the day, it's all about the communities that we serve.
And Mike, to pivot a little bit into that technology conversation, with innovation in how we hire and how we acquire some of talent for these roles across the industry, what are you seeing regarding key technologies?
Yeah, Sarah, some of the things we're seeing is that because of the technologies out there, AI and machine learning, people are positioning themselves a lot better. And companies are using new technology to kind of weed through and hire people at a different pace and a different pattern. What organizations need to start to do is start to get more data to make sure they're bringing in people who have the passion and the fit so that they're going to stick with that company. So we're using data, not AI when it comes to assessment, but true research-based tools in that space to help really identify who are those people who will be a fit for the organization, but also who are those who are going to thrive in an environment where innovation, change, adaptability, agility are really important and be successful in your company.
And Brian, a lot of innovation is happening between, service and sales and dealerships and the entire ecosystem as it pertains to the customer experience. What technologies are you seeing be most impactful?
Well, it starts everywhere, but I would say with service, it starts really where the customer comes to find out about the dealer, and that's the website. And what we're seeing is that the evolution of search has completely changed in terms of, answer engine optimization, the AI overviews, how you appear in that, how your website's built with schema. A lot of the big aggregators like Jiffy Lube and Valvoline are masterful at this, and they build that into their content. The About Us pages need to change. You need to highlight your people. I know I was one of the dealers in my former life that I wouldn't put all my people because I didn't want them to get recruited. You can't do that today because it's now measuring, are you an expert in your field? If you don't have ASEs and you don't have years of tenure and all those things on your website, and you're not celebrating those things, and you say that you have all these expert technicians, and it doesn't support it on your website, there's a conflict, so you won't show up in that zero-click search, they call it, on Google. And also focusing on what people answer next, or PAA, and all of those things are built into the website. So I would say that how they come to find you, and then obviously connecting the dots from the online into the in-store with the people is obviously the last piece.
Gigi, in your role and how you're looking at different pieces across the industry, how do you see technology impacting it?
That is a loaded question in our industry. Technology spans not only how the users or our consumers, customers experience their vehicles, but also the innovation that goes within a vehicle, off the production line, and also for us in particular, the aftermarket and the innovative products that go into it after ownership is taken place. So for me, when we look at technology, when a customer modifies their vehicles, they're modifying all kinds of built-in systems that have been integrated into the vehicle. So for, SEMA right now is experiencing a very large initiatives with regards to ADAS and how we work with OEs and dealerships post those modifications to recalibrate really those sensors and camera, focus points. There's huge opportunities also with regards to that, because you look at ADAS and you think that it's uniformed across different OEs, and it's not. Every OE develops their own ADAS technology, and that causes an issue when drivers are on the road. So really there's a standardization that needs to be developed and adopted for our industry with regards to that.
Ted, in looking at our panelists, one of the pieces that is really, that stands out the most, I think, about this experience has been just the synergy between what happens with the customer and what happens, throughout the entire purchase experience. So for Shawn and Diego, I know we have some follow-up questions as well that we want to tackle with some of this technology.
Shawn, Leibold, we recently, Sarah and I, had a chance to spend some time at the Reynolds & Reynolds Amplify Summit in Dallas. Some of the folks up here on the panel were there as well. Reynolds is making great strides with AI. You've embedded that into a number of new products. What can you tell us about that, things that you're working on with AI, and any future predictions for our industry?
Yeah, I think AI is one of those things where we have to be careful because it's the new shiny toy, right? So everybody has to have it, but yet they don't know what to do with it. And then all the information that comes out of AI is a lot, and it's a lot to absorb, but then how do you apply it? So we've tried to take kind of a foundational approach with AI to give the tools back to the dealership so that they can make business intelligent type decisions, not only with their customers, but how are they going to go and make their next moves strategically with the data. There's so much data. We obviously are a DMS company, but we also do a lot of other things. So we house all that data, but how do we help the dealer get that data quicker and then have intelligent decisions around that data? So that's kind of the way I look at AI. I know it sounds very cliche, but it's definitely going to be a walk, or crawl, walk, run kind of approach.
And Diego, at the end of the day, it all still comes back to the people within our organizations. Tell us some of the things that Lithia is working on, in particular the DART program, which you are a very big part of.
Oh yeah, no, and it all, it always starts with our people. I love that our DART program really embodies our mission statement of growth powered by people. We've been very lucky to be able to hire some fantastic students from Northwood University, Vanessa Collins being one. So sorry about stealing her, maybe Ted, from you a little bit. But really that's where it starts, is with our people, and with our DART program, we really believe that we're bringing in high potential talent that will become leaders for our organization. And this is said by our CEO, Brian DeBoer, that without our people, we don't have a business. And this is a people to people business, and technology is moving really fast. And we're definitely leveraging a ton of tools that is helping us, continue to drive profitability in our stores. But it always starts with the people. So with our DART program, it's really helping mold them with our culture and our values, and helping really set them up for success.
A lot of great conversations, Ted. And I want to pivot a little bit to talk about some trends. And Brian, maybe I'll come to you for this particular question, but are there any trends that you're particularly excited about in our industry right now?
Well, yes, I think there's never been a more exciting time to be in automotive, in the history of automotive. So there's so many different places to begin. From used car acquisition. Over the next 5 years, used car acquisition and fixed operations are the two where you have there's obviously a very limited amount of vehicles that are coming back into the market, but there's also a limited amount of dealers that are being transparent with how they're communicating to those dealers to acquire those vehicles from consumers. So there's a lot of people that are buying cars from the auction, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're buying them from consumers that are already on your service drive, that are already physically there. You can scan it with an OBD scanner. The margin of error is much less when you're there with a customer, and then how you're able to account for the ADAS systems and parts pricing and the technology around that. I was at a dealership the other day, and we scanned a 2021 RAV4, and I think it was $800 for the windshield. And then we scanned a 2024, same body style, or there's 22 and a 24, and it was $2,600 for the windshield because of the ADAS technology. So with tires, as those things are changing in real time, you can now use competitive-based pricing on the reconditioning, with a product AccuTrade. So as that stuff, I can't even imagine. We've got generative AI merchandising text optimization as we're selling these cars in order to turn them more quickly. So it's a limitless amount of excitement for me. I could go on and on, but it's I don't think there's ever been a more exciting time to be in automotive retail.
Mike and Maureen, I'd like to get your perspective on that question as well. There's a lot, from both of your perspectives that, trends are happening in hiring, trends are happening in, the entire service process and how everything moves through the pipeline. So Mike, I'll start with you on that. What are you particularly excited about today?
From our perspective, one of the really cool things that we're seeing is that the generation of leaders who are on the top of organizations these days have put an emphasis on people. So what Diego said, you know, that's what we're seeing as a trend. Historically, that's not what you see in organizations, whether it be in the auto industry or any other industry. But this generation of leaders understands the value of people and are doing more to invest in that, which is an amazing trend to see, and we hope it continues.
Maureen, what are you particularly excited about when it comes to technology and trends that you're seeing?
Well, one of the things that I am so excited about, I know for us, we really focus on understanding transactional data of what's happening on the repair orders. And from that data, it really enables us to help the dealership to understand, are they perfectly priced? And why is that important in our industry? Reason it's important is because net profit is critical to the dealership, profitability overall, and fixed operations and service absorption, we all know is critical. The other is it's about client retention. You want every customer that's coming in to get the same price and to build that retention. So you don't want to leave anything on the table, but you want to be perfectly priced. Where I see the technology trend is that is a lot of data. I mean, we analyze over 100 million repair orders a year. Think about that. And so when you look at that type of data, what can you glean from it? What can you share? But also what can we do to help in the industry? And so we're really starting to see how that technology is taking that AI and machine learning. You know, we just recently at the Amplify event, Patrick York, one of our partners from the Gilman Automotive Group, said, you know, AI is actual intelligence, not just artificial intelligence, meaning you can take that data, but you still need the people. You need the people that can interpret it. You need the people that can bounce it from our industry and understand that it's going to drive the results that we need, both in retention and in profitability for the dealerships.
If I can follow up with Shawn Leibold at Reynolds, this past October, Katrina and I had a chance to go to the Reynolds headquarters in Dayton, Ohio, and experience that innovation center that you've got on the very first floor that I think a lot of visitors to Reynolds get to experience first, and it shows off a lot of the things that you're working on, Shawn, a lot of the latest cutting edge things. So talk to us, same question, about the technology and challenges and opportunities throughout the spectrum on both the variable and fixed side.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I think, as you said, our innovation center is definitely the place that we would love for every dealer to come if we could, you know, get them there. But because I think it shows the way that Reynolds wraps, and this is not a self-serving commercial, I promise. Well, it kind of is, but it does show, like, from the time that the consumer starts in the living room to the time that they, you know, consummate the deal, and then the time that they get serviced on the car. But, you know, some of the things that we're starting to try to do for dealers, and, you know, I'm glad Ed is here, but he's using one of our new technologies to help make, you know, service technicians more efficient by having robotics deliver parts to the bays of the technicians. I think these are like the really cool things. Now, obviously, that kind of technology still has to be polished a little bit, but I think those are the kind of things that companies like ours and others in the industry are trying to do to help streamline the processes, not just for the customer, but also for those that are doing the work on the car. So
the robotics part is really cool, Shawn. I want to ask Diego about that as well. Is robotics going to replace people at all in our industry, or what?
There's always going to be people in this industry. That's what makes our industry so great, is the people that we all get to work with. But we are definitely looking into, obviously, improving processes, trying to optimize processes. And there are a lot of very manual and tedious processes in a lot of our internal things that we do at Lithia. And I remember one of my first things was, you know, having to go to OEM websites, pull scores. And it was very, very, I would say, tedious, right? And then I knew there had to be a better way to do this. And what's been great is that a lot of our darters are coming on now. We're hiring darters with computer science backgrounds, and they're really helping us automate a lot of our very tedious manual process that humans don't want to do. And it's giving now more time to really dive into, again, the more deeper analysis and really being able to, you know, kind of take away the things that is really, I would say, wasteful a little bit in terms of our time, and giving us time back to be more productive and continue to serve our people.
I have a question for Brian Kramer. Brian, it's on EVs and alternative fuels. You've been very active. I've seen a lot of the posts you've had over the last few years on the sales side, because I think you see it first in a lot of the values of vehicles, how they can be adjusted and affect the market very quickly, Brian. Talk to us about that and, maybe what the future holds on those alternative drivetrains.
Well, I would say the future goes until the end of this month, because September 30th, everything's about to change. And for the longest time, we weren't seeing anything that was changing with the resale values of the supply chain with still high demand under $30,000. And we're seeing that soften up for the first time. And as you go up in price, we'll see the softening of the resale values even more as a percentage. So like a Porsche Taycan or a G-Wagon, EQSs, EBSs, I think Mercedes-Benz just announced that they're going to stop producing those. But those are the ones getting hit the hardest.
Gigi, let me follow up with you on that, if that's okay. Some of the things that you may be seeing there at SEMA.
So with regards to SEMA in particular, the enthusiasts and the builders and manufacturers that make up our association really are looking at twofold. One is really how to extend the excitement and life of a vehicle on the road with all the innovative products that are produced. And the other is really how to make that first experience purchase also exciting. What is interesting in the resale of that is it becomes much more private buyer and collections. So it's actually, as I sit here and I'm absorbing the dealership aspects and more, I would say, general consumer type purchase. Now, I am a general consumer. It's shameful. I work for SEMA and I've not modified my vehicle in any way whatsoever. It literally takes me to work. Where I really see SEMA and the companies within our association and our industry working with the dealers is really in that expansion. And again, working with OEs, we are a perfect liaison to the OEs to extend that ADAS technology, recalibrate, really help with even the warranty coverages that happen with vehicle purchases as well. I think that's where SEMA really plays a role in our industry, is really to help expand the excitement, usage, and longevity of our industry.
Gigi, and I would follow up with you to say that these last 5 to 10 years have seen in technology with things like ADAS, things you're mentioning, things are happening at warp speed now.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Faster than ever before in our industry, if you want to speak to that. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. And what's really great is as we talk about AI, one of the things that can happen with AI is with really product testing. Yes, we still need to take those vehicles onto the road and make sure that, they function as needed. But so much of the tolerance testing is done with AI and with computers and technology, so that product innovation cycle that used to take 18 months, 2 years, is now happening in months. I mean, I work with our manufacturers directly, producing product content for the vehicles out on the road and vehicles rolling off a production line, and they're releasing new products monthly. I mean, it's really incredible. Technology is moving everything so quickly.
And Michael, I have a question for you. We're talking about AI technologies, the customer experience. Talk to us about that, because I think nothing can replace that human touch. Your organization, GoTrago, has great experience with dealer groups such as Sewell over many years. I think Carl mentioned the GoTrago assessments in his book when he first wrote it 40-some years ago.
Chapter 18.
And there we go. And we have somebody from Sewell here today as well. Speak to us about that.
Yeah. So the assessments that we use can help identify what are the do they have the right capabilities and skills to sustain in that role, right? And are they going to not just be a fit for the company, but are they going to stay there for a long time? Are they going to be successful? And we're seeing people who are performing at much higher levels in the sales side and the service side, those elements. So it's helping us bring people in. The other piece I would tell you on the AI side is the learning side and the development of people to help you keep them and grow in their success. And we're seeing a lot more balance of AI with coaching and asynchronous learning and micro learning, all those elements that you start to mix together to keep a learning process going so people can learn new technologies. As things change with technology, they can adapt and upskill a little bit, and they can do it at their own pace, adapted to their style.
I'm going to ask each of you to finish the sentence, starting with Diego on the other end. If you would finish the sentence, the future of automotive is, and I'll let you go ahead and fill in the blank at the end of that sentence.
That's a hard one because there's so many different ways that we could go through. But I honestly, I'm going to have to say that it is exciting. It's optimistic. I truly believe that this business will continue to evolve and thrive. But I know we only have short time. But I will say exciting is a word that I would say.
Same answer. Okay. So same question.
Same question.
Yeah. So when I got the cheat sheet, I kind of I thought about this question a lot, and I think it's really the future of transportation, because I think automotive, while we all know it as a traditional automotive, but I think the future of transportation is like kind of the key to be thinking about. We have a company in Dayton, Ohio that's actually building flying cars right now, so there are going to be some dynamic changes in our transportation world. So I view it as more of the future of transportation.
I'm going to say that the future of technology or aftermarket is, I'm going to say it's going to be a little messy. It's going to be a little messy because there's so many innovative things happening all at the same time. So it's going to be a little bit hard to focus on what it is we need to really concentrate on. But I think in that there's a lot of opportunities. So a little messy, but very, very wide with opportunities.
I wish I had like some shiny answer to the question, but I'll tell you what I've learned here recently with we own Dealer Inspire websites at Cars Commerce, and they're written in automotive schema. I didn't know what that was 60 days ago, but apparently that's the language that AI speaks. So they said you don't want to just speak English, Spanish, but you also be bilingual. You need to be trilingual and have automotive schema injected into all of your comments, your oil changes near me, everything like that. And with all the zero-click searches, the AI overviews, and how all of this is changing, if you don't have a website that's built in schema, which not all of them are, so I would check with your website provider and tell you Dealer Inspire is. But if you don't have schema, not just there, but on your Google My Business page, you're invisible to search, and you won't realize it, and it'll go off of a cliff. So I think the future is to be visible, and without that, you're not going to be.
Yeah, and I would say, counter to Gigi, I think it doesn't have to be messy, right? And technology, it's here, it's never going away. Change, it's only going to expand and go rapid. If you have the right people in the right job with the right skill at the right time, you will move faster than everybody else.
So what I would like to end with is the future of automotive, as I look at these faces in front of me, is very bright. This is an industry that I guarantee every single person on this panel came to where they are today on a very different path. That is the beauty of automotive. Automotive embraces everything we do in our lives, and it's really about you. So we're up here today because we are so excited to be here at Northwood. Any chance I get to come talk to the students, it just gets me fired up to go back after 38 years and just say we have a future that is so bright in our industry, and we embrace such diversity, collaboration, and really about the institution itself here. Free enterprise is the basis of everything we do in automotive.
Very well said, Maureen and Ted. An incredible panel with us today.
It is. Thank you so much to the panel. Great information. Everybody, if you would, please give it up for our panel. I'm here with Sarah Van Tine at Northwood University, and we are going to be right back.
Hello, everyone. It's Vanessa Collins
and Katrina Nass
with the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We are here at NADA 2025 at the beautiful BG Products booth. We are here with Andy Baldessari at BG Products. Welcome. Thank you for having us. To start, if we could get a quick introduction of, who you are and what you do here at BG Products.
Sure. Andy Baldessari, Director of Marketing and Training for BG Products. I've been here 7 years and really in charge of, everything that we do to help dealers from a marketing and training perspective. A big part of that really is the training side of things. So we really take a lot of focus for in-store training. We have over 800 reps in the field, so we're in dealerships every week making sure that their staff is trained so that they can do a good job and penetrate CPROs and things like that. So
that is awesome. So to get into it a little bit, tell us a little bit more about what BG is going for in 2025 and what you guys are starting to implement that is new this year with some of your products.
Yeah, sure. So there's exciting things. So over 50% of dealers already use BG products, so we're very excited about that. But over the last year and a half, we actually have 2 OE partnerships, one with AC Delco and one with Motorcraft. So some pretty exciting news from BG Products. It's been validated product by the OEs, so that's been fantastic. But they also recognize the strength of our distributor network. With over 800 field reps in stores every week, we can do what no other company can do to support the dealer to make sure that they're profitable, but also that they're handling the customer in the right way. And also performing the service in the right way as well to make sure they do it safely.
Awesome. And, with implementing these new programs into the dealerships, if you want to speak a little bit to that, with training and other facets of that.
Yeah, so training's a big part of what we do. We are your partner beyond products for the dealer. A big part of that is the training program. So that's in-store training with the reps every week. But also we have an online training program. We have an augmented reality training program. We have mobile applications. One's the BG Advisor for advisors. One's BG Tech for technicians. So there's over 500 tech tips. There's 50,000 vehicles in those apps to show them how to do services. So it's pretty incredible what the BG team, and we've got an amazing team that put this together.
Wow. Yeah, you were telling us earlier how, dealerships can get new products in and new softwares, but you are really unique by helping them and training them and implementing it correctly and efficiently, because ultimately that reflects on the employees, which reflect on their customers. And we want to make sure it's happy from the top down, don't we?
That's right. A lot of people can sell dealers products, and there's a lot of people here trying to sell dealers products, whether it's software or chemical products like BG. But something unique about us isn't just the training that we're doing. We have something called Smart VMA, which is our smart menu program. And we've got over 2,000 dealers using this, and we're seeing, a 30% lift in penetration on CPROs. And so that's not just, hey, we want to sell you a great product and we'll do a lot of support. We actually have the tools to help you sell that product to your customer. And it also comes with lifetime BG protection plan, where we actually guarantee that service for the dealer's customer. So we stand behind our product, and we're just excited that so many dealers have chosen BG with over 50%, and we're really excited that we now have 2 major OE brands that have partnered with us. So it's very exciting.
Awesome. I mean, you heard it from Andy first. BG Products is truly your partner beyond products. It seems there's some very exciting things in the headway for BG Products in 2025, and your booth looks incredible. And yeah, thank you so much for having us, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your NADA show.
Great. Thank you.
Speed towards impeccable service with Joel Furno from CITRIN in our next segment.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Ted Ings with Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln. Ed and I have an amazing colleague we want to introduce to the Roundtable community. It's Joel Furno. Joel Furno in Columbus, Ohio. He's the founder and CEO of a company called CITRIN, CITRIN Automotive Hospitality. Joel, welcome back, and welcome, Ed, to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Ed.
Hey, good to have you here, Joel.
Yeah, great to be here.
Ed, this comes at a time in the industry when we're, the big discussion out there is, hospitality, making sure the customer is greeted promptly on the drive, and Joel falls squarely into all those pegs.
Well, dealers get so involved in process and they lose sight of what the customer experiences. And when you refocus back on that, that's when you can really bring hospitality back in. And hospitality is truly the experience of what the customer feels as he goes through that, whatever's happening. So bringing hospitality back to automotive is huge.
Joel, tell us about your story and CITRIN.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. Well, our story actually starts in the hospitality industry. In college, with $200, I started a valet parking company, working with high-end hotels and restaurants, and really focusing on how do you hire and train and motivate hourly employees who are the face of your organization and the face of these high-end restaurants and hotels to show up in uniform and the elements and do the job. And so we got really good at that. And we were kind of running out of restaurants to go after as I was graduating. And lo and behold, I got a call from an auto dealer who said, "Hey, every time I go to one of your restaurants downtown, your people are phenomenal. And they greet me, they hustle. And for the life of me, we can't find great porters to represent my dealership. Can you help me out?" And I said, "I'd love to help you out, but what's a porter? I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been to a car dealer before. I'm a hospitality guy." And he said, "Don't worry about it." And he paired me up with Don Andres, who I know is a good friend of both of yours and has been a guest on your show. And Don was our first client, our first fixed ops director. And our whole focus was bringing people, process, and leadership and turning the service drive into a valet operation. I think everyone's been to a restaurant or a hotel that has valet service. It's very impressive. The doors opened. And we wanted to bring that experience to the car dealer. And not only that, but we found there was a lack of processes between lot organization, prioritizing waiters versus non-waiters, and how much that impacted the service advisor and the technicians when these basic functions aren't upheld by a professional team. So we've gotten really deep into that. And 14 years later, we now are with 70 dealerships. We have around 800 employees working inside of car dealers that are completely white labeled and inherently involved, locking arms to our partner to serve the customer and improve the overall efficiency of a service department.
Ed, that human challenge is so important.
It is, and the just bringing that element of process and that element of the added little things that we don't even look at in a car dealer because we're not looking at through the customer's lens on how it makes feel. The opening of the car door, the consistent someone there to guide them in the right direction, make them feel comfortable, and then the structure behind it to prioritize where cars need to be for waiters, for ones that's ready for pickup, for the various different things, so that it has a natural flow to it. And we're not what Joel didn't tie on there, but some of the byproducts is our techs spend less time going all over the parking lot looking for things. So we actually pick up production. And there's so many positives that comes from that.
Joel, do you want to speak to things like that? I think that's important.
Yeah, I think we knew we could bring a better level of hospitality to this dealership and to the automotive industry. But what we didn't realize was how much pressure the service advisors were under to sell more gross for CSI. And then if you look at a service manager, I think it's the hardest job in the car dealership. The span of control of a service manager is huge. And you have almost a separate department who are your porters, your valets, your shuttle drivers, loaner car management. And those fall down. They're viewed as non-revenue producing roles, but they impact all of the revenue producers from the advisors to the service manager. And we found oftentimes the service manager is the most expensive porter because they're spending hours jumping down the service drive to cover that. Little things by greeting the customer and realizing that the service advisor who the customer is assigned to is with another customer. And so to keep the customer from jumping down their throat or having to wait even 30 seconds, dramatically improves that first experience. And I think if you think about pulling into a car dealership to get your car serviced, and either there's two scenarios: there's a line out the door, you're backed up, you might just leave and go to work because you don't want to deal with the chaos, or you pull in and it's a barren service drive and nobody greets you for even 10, 20, or 30 seconds. How does that feel to the customer?
A lot of times that 20 or 30 seconds feels like minutes.
Yeah, it does. So these little things add up. And I do have a lot of compassion for service managers because you can't be good and great at everything. I've spent 19 years of my life, which is, as of this year, half my life, focusing on solving one problem, which is how do you hire and motivate hourly employees to do jobs like these? And so to try to do this on top of everything else that a service manager is asked to do, I'd like to say you're not going to keep your lights on by having great porters and valets, but you're not going to get from good to like great to world class if you don't have a strong professional team of hourly employees who ensure that the customers are greeted, the cars are moved efficiently, cars are getting washed, you're not losing surveys there. And then you get into mobility services. Ed, I know you've mastered this, but even trying to manage complex pickup drop-off operations can be taxing as well. And there's more and more pressure on dealers to offer this hospitality level experience and all these additional services that didn't exist 20 years ago. And it just puts more and more pressure on that service manager. And that's where we're positioned to try to help solve that problem and bring good people to the dealership to serve these roles every single day.
Well, you brought the right word to that. You said world class. And that's something that they don't look at through that lens. They look at it as, oh, I have someone to do that. And what ultimately they do, they have someone to do that, but then they ask them to do 15 things. And when they need them to do it, they're not there to do it. And that removes that ability to be world class. And when someone's focused about to do it, it gives that opportunity for them to be there. So it gives them a leg up already right from the beginning. And let's face it, valets are one of the bookends of the dealership. We got our website. That's introduction to our dealership. We got, when they call in, the voice that they talk to, whether it's AI, whether it's a person, whatever, that is introduction to our dealership. When they drive into the store, the first person they come in contact with is the person that represents our store. And then the last person that they see is the person that represents our store. So when you got to get those bookends right to get the rest of it right. If you miss one of those, it's hard to overcome any of it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Joel, your hiring process is unique. Your training and retention. Speak to us a little bit about that, because a lot of the folks who work for CITRIN, who work for you, have actually graduated and moved up in the automotive world as well.
Yeah, I mean, our mission is really two-part. One, obviously, we have to provide value and tremendous value to grow our business and to deliver in this industry. But really, underneath of that is to create transformative job experiences for these hourly employees. I think part of the mental health crisis our country is seeing is these 18 to 24-year-olds don't know what their purpose is. And the most beautiful thing about car dealers is every personality that exists, there's a job for you at a car dealer. Right? If you like talking to people but you don't like hunting, you'd be a great service advisor. If you like working with your hands, you're a technician. If you like being in the office. And so part of our calling is to really nurture these hourly employees and help lift them up so they can either grow with our company into a career or grow into the car dealer. Of our over 100 managers that work for us, 60 to 70% started off as porters and went through our leadership development program. 150 of our employees last year were hired by our clients at no cost to them. For them to move into upward positions. They're service advisors. We now have our first couple of service managers over the years who are now service managers of dealerships who started off with us. And I've met so many great people in ed seat and then the general manager seat and even principals who started off as an hourly employee. And so we don't want to take away that pipeline. We want to actually enhance that. And a couple of tricks I can share. We cast a wide net on Indeed. We've gotten very good at pay-per clicks to make sure our ads post the highest. And then as soon as somebody fills out an application for an hourly job, they need to get employment. And so you're competing against Chick-fil-A, Target, all these other hourly employees are trying to attract hourly employees. And so you have to view them as sales leads. And it probably shouldn't be the service manager, but somebody has to be following up with these folks immediately, getting them on the phone, talking about how great the dealership is to work for, and get them scheduled for an interview with the service manager, whoever's interviewing these folks. And so we've centralized our recruiting processes in our office here in Columbus, Ohio. So anywhere we go in the country, we post ads, we drive funnel, and then we hire about 3% of applicants that apply for our company. And there's drop off at every tier, right? And so we do a video interview, phone screen, background check, and we go from application to hire in about 6 days. Most dealers we talk to take 2 to 3 weeks to go through their hiring process. And for hourly employees, again, they need to make money. Along those lines, we pay them weekly. And we're also introducing retention raises where they make up to $2 more an hour over the first 2 years. So they have a pathway to earn a couple more dollars an hour, and they're not jumping ship for the next buck they can make. A couple mistakes that we see, and we actually can probably share some, we're using AI to determine fair wages in the market. If you're trying to squeeze a couple dollars an hour off of what you're paying them, then you're not going to get good people and you're not going to be competitive. So paying market rate, an extra $1 an hour means a lot to these folks. Again, I know expenses are important and managing expenses are, but this is not a place where you want to try to shave a few bucks. There's other places in the dealership that are inefficient, but trying to squeeze a few dollars an hour off of the hourly team is not a place where I think there's ROI positive to do so. And then from there, it's what's your onboarding experience? So our people go through our training on hospitality, our values, our expectations, and we actually do it in reverse. Here's all the things we're going to do for you. Flexible scheduling, fair wages, retention tiers, vacation time, upward mobility opportunities with us or our partners. Here's all we're asking for you. Communicate with us, live our values, show up on time, look great, and have a good attitude. And everything else will be taken care of for you. And so I think making sure they have a good onboarding experience, and most of the onboarding experience, let's be honest, Ed, you know this, is here's your shirt, go follow Bill around, he'll show you what to do, right? He'll show you where to park the cars and how to greet the customers. Making sure those guys have a good onboarding experience and great. We also incorporate our clients. Our uniforms are white labeled. We don't want us to feel like an outside vendor. And so we take the values of our clients, any training videos, any internal marketing that the dealership has about their family history, about their principles, about anything about their group. We pipe that into our training program. So our people receive a check from us, part of our organization, but they know who they're working for, and they know that they're inherently a part of that organization. And I think that also helps us move people from our company seamlessly into our dealerships the more we do that. So again, hourly employees are usually across our entire country, not just automotive, are viewed as an expendable resource. But we've really chosen our whole business has been to invest in those people. They can't clock out until they tell us how they're feeling. I know everyone's talking about how this generation is sensitive. They are. Their feelings are important to them, maybe too important. They can't clock out of our program until they tell us how they're feeling. And if they're below a 3, they get a call from someone in your office just to see if they're okay. We've also partnered with a nonprofit called Marketplace Chaplains. For $7 an employee per month, we have a chaplain, a care partner, come around to every single dealership every single week just to ask our employees, how are you doing? Is there anything going on in your life? We get a report on what's going on in these folks' lives, and 95% of the issues are not work-related. They're mental health issues. There's financial stress. They have a sick parent or a death in their family. And so I think just having compassion for what these folks are bringing to work and providing resources to them is important. And that's what we're trying to beat the drum on, is take care of the little guys, and they'll eventually be your next technician, your next service advisor, your next service manager, which the good groups like that, I'm sure you have a litany of people who started off in hourly roles who are now running departments for you. And I think that's a really important part of the automotive heritage of this industry. It's one of the last industries you can show up as a 17-year-old. And if you just work hard and you pay your dues, you're going to have an amazing life for yourself and for your family.
So I want to take that and run with it for a few minutes, because if you take I'm going to talk to the audience for a second. If you take the last 5 minutes of this that you just watched and play that over and over again, you can learn so much from it. We're asking for these guys to come in entry level and pay them the bare minimum and ask them to go be lube techs or whatever else. They have to buy tools and they have to do this. They have to do various different things. And we're going to pay them the minimum, and they can go do that at other places without even having an investment. And Joel says, hey, let's go get the cream and pay them a little bit better, because now you don't have that constant turnover. But I want you to go back and look at one element of what he said. He said 3% of our applicants we hire. That means 97% doesn't make it through his hiring process. So he has things that he's going to make sure that they can represent, not only for his company, but the companies that he's asking to represent out in the market as well. And then he offers a support, and that's one thing that we can talk about the younger generations, we can talk about whatever, but without offering them support, then they don't feel like anybody cares about them. And just making those connections and offering support and being there for them, just having somebody to talk to, is huge. So if you take those from the 7-minute mark to that 12-minute mark and listen to that 4 or 5 times and pick up something from it each time, you can make your store better already. And then if you want to dump fuel on that, then call Joel and see how it's really happening.
Joel, you're a breath of fresh air, and we appreciate your insights. They are very much noted, as you just heard from Ed Roberts. You've also taken your approach, the valets on the service drive, and you've enhanced that in order to pick up some vehicle acquisitions on the service drive for dealers who want to explore that opportunity. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's fascinating what you're doing.
Well, there's a quote I love that says, innovation is usually born out of pain. And over the last year, we've had a handful of cancellations, more than we've ever had, from folks who said, hey, we love your service, but my GM's putting me under pressure and I have to cut expenses. So I've got to go back in the house and save a few dollars, or think I can save a few dollars. And it only took that happening, feeling sorry for herself for a few months, from like, well, if we're not happy with how fast our company is growing or how much money we're making, then we're not adding enough value. So it's not, in this environment where the industry stands right now, and maybe it's our marketing, maybe it's other reasons, but we have to do more than just be a great valet service to grow our business in this industry, in this climate. And so one of the things I kept hearing about, and Brian Kramer's doing a great job, beating the drum about it across the country, is the fact that there's a tremendous opportunity that exists. Everyone's trying to buy more used cars. It's expensive to get cars from the auction to the dealership. There's all kinds of things going on, and yet there's 50 to 100 cars coming through an average service department every single day, and nobody's having even a conversation with them if they'd be interested in trading their car in. And the last thing I'm sure Ed can agree with this is that you want is a bunch of salespeople swooping all over your service drive. The valets are already greeting every customer. We're already doing custom tailored word tracks to greet every customer. So what we've done is add 2 sentences, and we can tailor this based on whether a dealer wants more appraisal volume or wants more qualified leads. And the 2 word tracks are, hi, while you're here for service, we're offering complimentary appraisals just to give you an idea what your vehicle's worth. Would you like us to go ahead and get that taken care of? It's completely free and it doesn't take any more time. And what we're seeing is 20% of customers are saying yes to that. If we would like more qualified leads, we're saying, hey, we're short on used vehicles. We'd love to buy your car. Would you be interested in having a conversation with a specialist? And so what we're doing is we're aggregating a funnel of, again, 50 to 100 customers, and we're identifying the top 20% who aren't having an offer shoved in their face or a salesman jumping on them. We're giving them the top 20%, and we're checking them in with the advisor to open the RO before we then introduce them to the salesperson, so the service doesn't slow down. So we also are seeing that there's a lot of pressure in a lot of dealerships of the service managers and directors know what resource they need, but the GM is looking out for the P&L and is constraining that resource. And so to get the proper staffing levels paid for and turn this unapplied labor expense into a revenue producer, we're now testing out having our valets help generate leads for the dealership so that we can help them buy more cars. And it doesn't take that many acquisitions for us to pay the entire labor expense. And now it's a profit center, not a cost. So that's what we've been working on recently.
So let's chime that back in there as well, because here's what car dealers do. They put a salesperson out in a service drive and beat them over the head. Well, what do salespeople do? They're there to sell a car. So they're not truly interested in giving that customer the value of theirs. They're interested in selling them a car. So they don't make the right connections. But when you tie process to it, process can be done consistently over time. And so everyone gets the same experience and it feels natural. And that's what you just talked about. It's part of our process. It's part of what we do. And the organic things that's going to come from that is you're going to acquire vehicles and you're going to sell vehicles from that. But it's process. So the audience needs to take that process is what drives results.
Well, and we've stumbled as we've tried. So we have to have a weekly call with every program. We have around 6 that we're testing right now. We're starting small and making sure we can do a great job with it. So we have a weekly call with every location manager, our quarterback on the service drive who's running the program. Yep. And we're tracking their number as percentage take rate against ROs. And we're incentivizing our valets $4 if they get an appraisal lead, and then $1 to the leader who's on site. And then every week they get at least 10% of the ROs say yes to an appraisal. They get a $100 bonus. Every week there's a contest on who had the most appraisals gets a $50 gift card. So we have to track it every single day. We have a check-in call Monday morning. We have a group call Thursdays, and you have to stay on top of it because although this is a huge opportunity, you have to have the right software. You have to have the right approach on pre-texting the customers. I think equity mining is great, but you're still missing customers if you're not touching everyone. You have to have a good sales team who know how to have the right conversations that are unoffensive. And again, they're not trying to shove a new car down their throat, they're trying to be a consultant. And then you got to make sure that the valets are doing it. But what's so cool is we had a kid get 12 appraisals in one day. He's making $15 an hour and he made an extra $48. He's over the moon. And so it's now an opportunity to help these guys earn a new skill, pay them a little bit more money in a way that's justified because they're creating more value. So really excited about it from all tiers to kind of bridge service and sales together, allow us to create more value, allow our employees to earn more money, and to help just improve the overall profitability for our partners.
Joel, I'm taking notes, and I see Ed Roberts has been taking some notes as well while you're speaking.
Absolutely. And it all ties together. You're there to support and then raise the level and bring it into a level where the customer feels good about it. And that's what hospitality is how you feel. It's not the transaction that you went through or the process that you went through. It's how you feel about that. And great job.
Well, and also ensuring that this unapplied labor is covered, right? If a service manager needs an extra person or two because they're short staffed, but they're up against cost pressure and they can't get it approved, this is just another way of saying, allowing them to get the resources they need because it's feeding the other department too. So really excited about the future of that and taking our valet company and actually be an offensive weapon versus just I hate the term unapplied labor that we're just a cost, a necessary evil. So trying to figure out how we can evolve past that.
It's only in the absence of experience.
Yes. Ed Roberts and I are speaking with Joel Furno. He has a company. He's the founder and CEO of a company called CITRIN. They're in Columbus, Ohio. CITRIN Automotive Hospitality. They're all over the country. They're working with dealers. They're helping to find the right people as valets to work on your service drive. Joel, my last question is, when dealers or retail managers watching this come to you, what do they typically say? What kind of situation are they in that prompts them to reach out and maybe have some questions answered as to how this might work in their situation?
Yeah, typically it's just getting tired of the revolving door of having to continue to interview and hire. I think the industry average I've heard for these hourly roles is 300 to 400% turnover. So that becomes taxing. They find themselves under pressure for CSI. I think that's a reason why we get a phone call as well, or hearing about it from a peer. The pressure to get more cars for their shop without adding more personnel or more advisors. We've had guys who've used us to actually add more appointments to their schedule without hiring a single more technician or advisor because of the additional bandwidth. And I think there's really the industry split between a defensive mindset of cutting costs and trying to squeeze every nickel out of your customers and out of your business, which is fine. It's worked for many years. And then the shift, as I'm seeing, the growth mindset of how are we investing in culture, investing in our people, and less investing in long-term customer relationships and retention. And those are the type of dealers I think are attracted to our model and who we want to help with grow their business. We are very cost effective though. When you compare all the replacement costs, we're usually 90 to 110% of replacement costs when we come in, when you factor damage claims and all that. So I would say it's personnel, it's customer experience, all things that we talked about usually leads to a phone call, and nothing like hearing from one of their peers about their experience with us.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Joel, how does our audience reach out? How do they get more information on CITRIN? How do they contact? Who do they contact at your company? Tell us the next step.
Yeah, I was joking with these guys, but we've invested all of our overhead into supporting our current clients, and so we don't have a sales team yet. It's the last department we're trying to build out here in the next year. So I'm happy to talk to anybody anywhere in the country. My cell phone is listed. You guys can reach out. Go to our website, citrin.co, or shoot me an email, joel@citrin.co. And if I can be a sounding board as you're looking to improve your own operations, happy to share anything that I've learned over the years that could be beneficial to you.
Ed, very refreshing. So
absolutely, and the audience should take a lot from this.
Yeah. Joel, thank you so much. First time on the roundtable. We'd like to invite you back. Maybe come back in just a couple months and let's talk some more about some best practices. Again, I took a lot of notes here, and let's find out what some of the best dealers are doing and how you're working with them as well at CITRIN.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Joel Furno, everybody. He's with CITRIN Automotive Hospitality. Reach out to him at citrin.co. His email and phone number are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Ed, thank you for joining us. Your perspective is very important, and we value you here greatly at the roundtable.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Right. Ed Roberts and Joel Furno from CITRIN Automotive Hospitality here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
98% of customer experience is how well or how poorly you communicate. Well, how come my software partners spend 98% of their development on workflows? What if they spent 100% of their time on workflows and we spent 100% of our time on communication? Then we'd be able to truly create transformative experiences for customers, and that's what True Video does.
Shift gears and find the 5 key levers to unlock Fixed Ops profitability with our friends from Velo, Euwart Anderson, and Bobby Wilcox.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today, we're going to be talking about the 5 key levers to unlocking fixed ops profitability. Ted, margins are tightening and customer expectations are rising, but the opportunity in fixed ops has never been bigger.
That's right. And we're really honored, Sarah, to have two great colleagues and friends of the fixed ops community. Euwart Anderson, who's Executive Vice President, General Manager at Velo, the big name now in fixed operations and growing, and Bobby Wilcox, who's with us as well. First time on the roundtable for Bobby. Bobby and Euwart, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks so much. Glad to be here.
Euwart, very timely discussion today. Profitability, as we know, isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things faster and smarter and more consistently. So really grateful that you could both join us here today for this discussion.
Yeah, we're excited to. The timing's just right? We're toward the end of the year and planning for 2026. Every dealer's in that space. So we want to make sure we get the intel out that's going to help them do that well.
I know we discussed in the green room briefly. You might have a stat or two you want to share with the audience before we get rolling today.
Sure. Yeah, two things come to mind, Ted, specifically that relate to this particular topic, and have ultimately driven us to develop, these 5 levers, if you will. Number one, since we're toward the end of the year, we've got enough of a forecast that it's going to be fairly accurate as it relates to what dealer profits are going to look like. JD Power put out a study through Auto News, and ultimately, if you compare 2024 to 2025, the profits for dealers were at about 28 billion from an industry perspective. They're down to 22 billion forecasted for 2025. You're talking about a $6 billion profitability hit in 2024 versus 25. And this is coming off highs from, kind of post-COVID, profitability accelerants where margins were really high. And to top that off, right, used car profitability is actually up about 10%, which is interesting. New car profitability is up about 7%. So there are some dealers that are identifying ways to take advantage of that, but that's mostly in the luxury brand space, right? Alternatively, the vast majority, domestic brands, right? Those are the majority of our franchise dealers. Roughly, they're down 4.8% in profitability.
Wow. Well,
so really material impacts on the profitability side, and we all know that fixed ops is a big driver of that profitability in well-run dealerships.
Sarah, on the dealership side, a lot of the things that you were just covered are covered by the Velo brands, and the dealers will be familiar with those names: Dealer Logics, Text to Drive, Rapid Recon, among others. Euwart, congratulations on the 2 newest members of the Velo family: Dealer Pay, great friends of the Roundtable, and also Total Customer Connect. I think those are the right names.
That's right. We're excited to add Dealer Pay and TCC, as we call them, Total Customer Connect, to the family, and they fit very, very well into our suite of products. And now the next big job for us is to bring them into the fold from an integration perspective and make sure that they align and we get all the value that we bought them for, which is what the market has gleaned from them already. That's why their growth has been so stellar into the other products, so that dealers can have all-in-one experience more and more every day.
If I could follow up with you, Euwart, and then Bobby, leadership drives profit. A lot of these things start at the top. If you want to maybe share some of your thoughts on that. Dealer culture has been a big, hot, dominant motivator here at the Roundtable, and I know you've got some insights there.
Yeah. Go ahead, Euwart. Was it me or you?
Go for it, Bobby.
Yeah, leadership, 100%. I liked what you said about culture, right? And I think a lot of dealerships kind of missed the mark on culture, and I think it's kind of a misdirected leadership, whereas they don't feel as though they should be spending enough time influencing the thinking instead of demanding the results. Right? It's a results-driven world, and it's really easy as a leader. You go out and you demand the results, but you don't coach the why to your people. Everybody knows the what, everybody can know the what, but if you fail to coach the why, then you're finding that you're always going to have to manage the what, right? So I think really delivering a culture where you have coached the why and you influence the thinking leaders will start realizing that things happen in their dealerships by themselves. The why is never above anybody's pay grade. And I think that's where they missed the mark.
Euwart, this is an incredible topic, and talking a little bit more in the leadership realm. This is a struggle sometimes for dealerships when you're talking about setting expectations, measuring performance. So what are some best practices that you're seeing that really help the shop there?
Yeah, I think I'll actually take a big step back on this topic and be really clear about where this starts. So it starts when you hire someone, right? So the way that dealers hire is very much so a reflection of a leadership team's culture, right? And the culture of that team has to inform the hiring process from the beginning, from the types of profiles you're looking for, from the types of characteristics and the individuals that will serve your customers, that will be the technicians in your bay, that will be the parts managers and parts specialists in your parts department, like that will manage your team on a day-to-day basis. And that the best practice around hiring, not just skill and a decent resume, that Joey Bag of Donuts worked at so and so Ford or Chevy for 20 years, but that they also had a track record of cultural success and results driven outcomes that they can prove and that you can confirm. So I think as a best practice, I'd go right back to the very beginning of the process, which is how you hire. And throughout, I'd say the second best practice of mention is going to be compensation plans that drive the behaviors you want to see. So you'll notice so far we've hit two, and I haven't talked about the tools they're using in software, because at the end of the day, the tools that we provide and the platforms that we service our dealers with, that drive customer experience, that drive ease of use for the internal users, those are really kind of a means to an end. The culture has to precede that. The comp plan modeling and the behavior you want to drive and the clarity around that behavior has to be clear first, and then everything else kind of follows, right? Like those are the underpinnings of driving and supporting the actual leadership that's going to ultimately drive that profitability through culture, if that makes sense. Beyond that, I'd say a lot of the best practices tactically, those are found and driven in, to my point earlier, in the actual products, right? Whether that's identifying a set of key metrics that are important to the dealer, and then measuring those on a daily basis, weekly basis, and then basically rewarding and recognizing and holding people accountable to hitting those on an ongoing track.
Lots of incredible information, Euwart, and you're so right. The culture going all the way back to the beginning is really important in this process. And Bobby, one of the pieces that is really interesting has also been around time and the speed that a lot of this is happening in the dealership. And we all have those days where customers are coming in and maybe it's not going totally according to plan in the scheduler, but then there's a lot of opportunities that are available for dealerships when they focus on speed and they focus on some of those pieces like communication. Can you share with us some of those best practices that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think in today's climate, with just dealing with customers in general, when you have all the information known to mankind in the palm of your hand, right? I feel like technology in and of itself has created an impatience for information, right? So, if the car business, needs to keep up, and customers, there's an expectation that they be communicated with in a timely fashion. And that goes with if you pulled up on the service lane, are we using quarter time? Are they being communicated with through whatever app or whatever text message they got from the automated system? On the flip side of that, their internal tools, with our recon space. That's a huge thing too, because your age of inventory is predicated on how fast you can get cars through your process. So it's trickled its way. The best practices, yeah, there's a sense of urgency with today's customers, as well as the selling climate. How fast can we get cars frontline ready? How fast can you get a customer through the service drive? And let's leverage the technology to put our systems on rails to cater to what's now the impatience of information to the customers. So 100%.
And I think a lot of that goes back to, it seems our whole world is speeding up. Everything is moving a lot faster, Bobby. Those customer expectations are driving it, and dealers are looking for efficiencies. And I think that's really where the Velo, the suite of products that you have, really comes into play. Bobby, let me ask you about consistency, because that creates predictability. We're all customers. We like predictability. Speak to us about that as well, if you can go a little further on that.
Yeah, it's huge, and it falls back to what I said previously. If you've done a good job of influencing the thinking with your people, and I coach a lot of dealerships, especially in the recon space. But we all know, it's a very short conversation with, let's say, a variable ops manager. The concept of velocity and turn, right? But does your technician back in the shop, who is the people who actually make recon happen, do they know the why? Do they know why they are, I got to hurry up. I always got these managers coming around. They want their cars yesterday, and it's the car business. Well, it's not that they're impatient managers. There's an absolute science as to why it makes sense. You got to make sure that trickles down to your people, even if it's just service lane urgency. A lot of the consistency has to do with how well, as a leader, did you convey to your people the why we do things? Because if you spend more time influencing the thinking, you're going to find you spend less time managing people along the way. I always love it. A good indication of how you are doing as a leader is how your business runs in your absence. So coach your people, coach the why, and you'll discover things will start to happen by themselves.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think that the only thing I'd add to that too, Bobby, organically is when you look at how dealers are creating consistency, a lot of that is done within the realm of the systems they use and the framework they set. But I'd say that more often than not, when we show up at dealerships, and I'll just speak for myself. When I show up at dealerships, there's an equal number of instances where a technician or an advisor or even a service manager at times might say, I don't know why we're doing it this way. And I think the visuals, the artifacts, the clarity, the culture, going back to that, like all of those things have to support the why. Like they have to feel like they're part of the full engine of the dealership. And I think for leaders, it's really easy for them to lose sight of that, because they themselves have the right altitude to where they can see the whole engine itself, right? So they're not concerned about the why, but they don't recognize that not everyone has that same altitude. So everyone in the dealership has to be brought into that fold to attain that predictability. Like it's reliable systems being the underpinning, but it all goes back. Like these are compounding levers, not levers you can basically deploy out of order, I guess is my point.
And Bobby, as you were speaking of this, just when he's talking about these levers and he's talking about some of these opportunities that dealerships have, if you're thinking of what the examples he gave, dealers that are struggling with profitability and they need to improve these pieces, visibility is a big aspect of what really fuels that accountability. So could you share with us, a little bit more about what are dealers doing that can really improve that process and really help into that visibility?
Well, the old adage, if you can't measure it, you can't grow it, right? You got to know where you're at. And, a lot of our tools and these tools used in dealerships are not necessarily micromanaging tools, right? They actually eliminate the finger pointing. But you really got to go to your key point indicators and see where we're at so you know what to coach. And, even with the time components with service drive tools, service lane tools, or our recon tools, dealerships are really the KPI metrics and the how are we doing is a good stepping stone to where we're at with when it comes where you got to start with coaching your people and trying to achieve those results.
I think that a whole lot.
Real time is key.
If I can follow up, gentlemen, and Euwart, let me come to you on the customer experience and retention and profit. A lot of the things, some of the brands that you've added to the Velo family, especially recently, they help build transparency and repeat business, and you make it easier for the customer to do business. And I think in today's modern dealership world, where you're focused on the right things, the culture, the career path of the employees first, talk to us about the importance of making it easy for for the customer and the employees as well.
I'm so glad you said that, Ted, that way. That was certainly something I intended to bring up here explicitly. So the experience piece, it does have two layers. One is the customer or the consumer, and then the other is the employee. And the idea here is that we're driving both of those experiences toward retention, right? The retention of staff, because turnovers at an all-time high still. Like dealers are struggling to keep good people, and in order to keep that knowledge and that culture and that work ethic, you need time with those people. If you have constant turnover, it doesn't work. So similarly, if you're losing customers left and right because of a poor experience or because they have a neutral experience, Joey down the road will give them more than a neutral experience. So both experiences have to be optimal, and our systems are geared toward that ease of use for the internal user, but then also for customer retention and and resurgence and return of those customers, if not on a steady cadence, on an increased cadence. Whether that's through recall automation engagement, or if it's through sending them happy anniversary, happy birthday messages from the dealership, like on behalf of their advisor, like whatever that automation looks like, we're able to do that in our system, and we see that those touches drive and enhance customer loyalty over time. We see overall scores of customer satisfaction increase. We see I think trust increase, and that shows up in the form of additionally recommended maintenance being accepted by the customer because they believe in what they're being prompted to tackle, et cetera. So our tools, whether it's text to drive, Dealer Logics, eAdvisor, or the new acquisitions, as you mentioned, in Dealer Pay, driving an optimal integrated payments experience that they can trust, and TCC, being able to offer some of that ongoing, live customer touch through a variety of, BDC augmentation services, Service Connect, SaaS products, et cetera. Like we're really, gearing ourselves to be that best in class experience on both fronts, and dealers will benefit from that on each side of the personnel equation.
Bobby, this is an exciting time to be in our industry. These last couple years with some of the things that Euwart is describing now, I mean, this has really elevated the game like no other time before.
Oh, 100%. I wish I had these tools at my disposal back when I was in the weeds, right? 100%. It really just takes it next level. And, especially with the end user or the end beneficiary being our customers. And then, there's nothing wrong with making it easier for the people, the employees driving a process and making their lives easier. There's where, that in and of itself will lend itself to more consistency and, getting it right for the customer every time.
Euwart, anything you'd like to add in closing? Here we are, we're midway through the fourth quarter. Dealers, managers are making their plans now for the new year, okay, for what's going to happen just ahead. You've got Velo very well positioned, and dealers who are with you very well positioned for the new year. What's ahead? And I know you're also going to be in later in January, early February at the NADA as well.
We will. We're excited about that too. So I'd say just to maybe round us out, and reiterate. I think for us, these five levers are core to what we do. The cultural piece behind leadership, driving the profitability is key. Creating that speed, within your processes and to market is critical. And then the consistency and the visibility, ultimately creating results, and the customer experience being a focus to drive profitability. Like those five levers, I just really want to reiterate that for those that happen to watch this episode. And I really hope that you challenge yourselves and you get out of the status quo and you seek us out. This isn't about selling you software; it's about making you successful and making sure your profitability is maximized. So we're happy to to partner with you and share information as we can. Bobby's part of the key team that does that. He's one of our best at doing it, as a matter of fact, and that's why he's here on this particular episode. At NADA, to your point, Ted, we're stoked to bring the two new companies to the fold in Dealer Pay and Total Customer Connect, TCC, into our booth. We'll have one of our largest presences from a footprint perspective. We got a key spot at NADA. We'll be front and center, and really excited to engage. We'll have a great NADA a show special, if you will, and you'll have to show up to find out what that is.
All right. And we look forward to joining you and being there for that as well. Sarah, again, exciting times, and this technology second to none.
It is, Ted, and the dealers who really win in fixed ops, they all share one trait, and that's discipline. And all of these pieces, as Euwart was saying, are really the key levers to unlocking the fixed ops profitability.
For our audience, if you're going to be headed out to NADA in the next few months, they'll be at booth number 2911W. That's Velo. And Euwart, if our audience wants to learn more about Velo and the many products that now make up that suite of Velo family, where's the best place we can direct the audience?
Sure, Ted. I'd suggest going to velo.com/dealership. So that's VEHLO.com/dealership.
All right. Well, on behalf of the Roundtable, Bobby, great meeting you. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more from you and see a lot more of you. And congratulations, Bobby, on all the great work that you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Euwart, again, thank you for all you do for the dealership community. And, we keep meeting like this a couple times a year. I can't wait to see what you're going to say in another month or two. Okay, what we have in store. So exciting times, Euwart.
There are certainly some gems coming out that I think the dealership body will be pretty excited about.
Everybody, go to velo.com/dealership. Learn more about Velo and the family of products they've got there. Gentlemen, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, Sarah and I want to wish you and your families and the Velo family a happy Thanksgiving later on next week. And again, thank you for all you do.
Same to you guys.
All right. Velo, everybody, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hi, I'm Angie Pescato from the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We today are in Okemos, Michigan at Graf Chevrolet. We are talking all things fixed ops, but in particular, technician multi-point inspection videos. Patrick does the technician multi-point inspections every day. So I wanted to get a perspective from you on what exactly you feel like it adds to the service experience.
I feel like it gives the customer a great idea of what's going on with their vehicle as far as issues they might have. A visual representation is the best thing you can do as far as showing someone what's going on with their vehicle, and also be able to give them the explanation of what's going on as well. Sometimes things can be lost in translation from one person to another when it comes to reaching out to a customer. So video is the best thing you can do for that. So it's been a great system.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I got the chance to see you in action a few times. Tell me, how long does it take normally per each video?
Generally between a minute to 4 minutes, depending on, if there's a lot of issues with the vehicle or if it's a newer vehicle. If it's a brand new vehicle, usually around a minute, but you need to go more in depth and explain what's going on with the vehicle to take up to 4 minutes.
So you feel like it's a positive addition to the process?
Absolutely. I think it's a great addition to be able to give the customer peace of mind and a visual representation of what may be going on with their vehicle.
Excellent. And I heard earlier you said you can't imagine doing anything without it now.
Yeah, honestly, since we started, I would never turn back. It's been a really good system and customers love it. So
yeah, we started this back in 2019. We just thought it was a great idea to show customers transparency. It's a great tool to have for the customer to just see what we're seeing on their vehicle. There's always that worry of, is this actually what's wrong with my vehicle? So to show them, hey, your oil cooler lines are leaking, your brakes are bad, your tires are low on tread depth, just be able to visualize that and actually see their vehicle. It's just a tremendous help.
Have you had any particular customer feedback in regards to these videos?
Yes, our customers absolutely loved it, especially back in 2019 when we started it. It just blew customers away.
Absolutely. I'm sure it's unnerving and very also exciting to see your own vehicle in the air. The technician takes the customer underneath with the camera, right?
Yep.
And shows them what types of things underneath the car. Have you run into any roadblocks with technicians or, developing this process within the shop?
I know when we initially started it, I would say 80% of the shop was on board. Some of the older techs that have been here for quite a while, they had a little pushback on doing the video, but once we showed them, hey, this is going to help, this is going to allow the customer to see what you're seeing and not to think that, you're lying, trying to upsell them something that's not needed.
Yeah, and for being such an early adopter, I feel like Graf Chevy and the whole organization did this really probably a few years before a lot of the other dealerships came on board. It's like I said, a relatively new thing. How are you able to keep the momentum going and get technicians excited about getting under the car and shooting these videos?
For one, we do pay them to do the video, so that's obviously a big help. But two, again, just knowing that they have that connection with the customer, showing them underneath what's going on with their vehicle, and just the transparency. I think that's the huge key with these videos, just being transparent with the customer.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Tom.
Not a problem. Thank you.